An angel's cruel thesis! How could they have done this to me? How could they have done this to society? Hey there, everyone, and welcome to... Technically, this is more of a lore rambling, but given the IP that we're covering, I figured Dice Scum Live would work because... Name's Adam, and we're going to talk a lot about Neon Genesis Evangelion with all of its warts because of the book that we're doing tonight. It'll be fantastic.
In particular, it's not the two that are actually the Evangelion RPGs, but instead Adeptus Evangelion. I'm here to present to you what do you get when you mishmash Warhammer and Evangelion?
What you deserve? That's the answer, isn't it? What you deserve?
Well, I was going to say a mishmash of Judaic and Christian mythological references, poorly done.
Well, I mean, it's not as weird as Raw Zenfone, which had a lot of Mesoamerican stuff, which, by the way, they tried to slip in the GM's guide. They actually kind of did a little bit of Raw Zenfone instead, which is kind of the weird opposite of Adeptus Evangelion, version 2.5. Allegedly, there's a 4.0, but they're not very good at making it possible to get your hands on. And 3.0, that would have been fantastic because apparently it was a catastrophe. But we don't have that.
If you do want a brief review of those games, I'd recommend looking at Notepad Anon's episode on it.
Yep, and he also covered Tales of Equestria recently, which that's also a pretty solid game. This one is a conversion kit for Dark Heresy.
Well, I say recently, it's somehow in my timeline. It was 2 years ago.
Oh, well, you see, that's recently.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just
but
like
yes.
How that's totally not an elite from Halo that's been retraced with different colors.
No, this completely looks like Jess Goodwin's second edition Eldar Codex artwork.
You know, it's the colors, and also these do look like pewter models that you can get poisoned from. What in the hell is what? What are you talking about? The elite?
No,
Something from Robotech, or the not Cornate Eldar with a chainsword.
Instead of Ava, it's the Eve one.
Also, they're totally fighting an angel that doesn't look like any sort of angel that you would really see in the show.
They're not angels. They're called Engels. Or if we want to go even more deeper, we'll call them Elohim.
Okay, so here's the thing: when you're joking about that, whenever in the show an angel would show up, it would always be in German because Hideaki Anno, whenever he worked on the show, whenever they would appear, it would always be der Engel de, and then it's what they represent. I am not even kidding.
Yeah. Then we just go, they're the Elohim.
Well, they are legitimately Adam's children, while we are the Lilin.
Wouldn't that be...
Technically, all of us are angels.
You could call them Nephilim, I guess.
Well, I mean, everyone in the setting's technically a Nephilim.
Well, no, because if they're children of Adam, and Adam is supposed to reference the first man, they're just human.
Now, here's the thing: the big twist is the giant monsters are the original inhabitants of the earth. We are the descendants of Lilith. So, for those of you wondering, I don't know how hard they go into the weeds. I can go into that, but I think it's better just to read through and cover as they do, because otherwise I could go on some weird tangents about Evangelion. Why did they choose to make it so that when you piloted the robot in the Rebuild movies, you stayed forever 14? What did you mean by this, Hideaki Anno? What did you mean by that? And why did you decide to make one of the characters that I think they tried to do a weird romance angle with older than the protagonist's mother? Was that an Aztec sword? That is a good catch, Percival. So, weirdly enough, they do reference Aztec stuff in the GM section. This is the players section. The GM section for this was cut off. Originally, this was one big book, but they figured it was too unwieldy. So what happened was the people behind this project, which are all of these people, all of these glorious people from TG, and, well, back in the 1D4 eras, all of these people worked on this.
Maybe I don't know if they're still around with 1d6 champ, but
It is, but it has lost its teeth.
it's from a different era. Just a different era, different time period.
That's
It's like
copium,
saying
and
you
you
want
know it.
it's well no, it's like saying I want to go back to the era of the 20s to 40s pulp sci-fi. We're never going back to that era. It's a good era, but we're never going back to it.
Okay, so you're gonna treat it like the goth scene. Got it. Understood.
Yeah. I mean, it went from this to, well, actually, we could make money doing our slop or our RPGs and Kickstarter.
Also, no, I would not want to be 14 forever, Galliard Group. That sounds like a horrible idea.
Oh,
It also results in some very disturbing art. A lot of disturbing arts and moments. I don't know why in the movie did you make it so that Masato tried to actually touch Shinji in that way? Yes, that happens in the movie. There's a reason why I'm not a fan of End of Evangelion. Oh God. Yeah, let's just get into this. Otherwise, I could go on. I could go on and on.
so for those who don't know, 15 years ago, something hit Antarctica, vaporizing the entire continent, and somehow humanity still lives.
Well, most of humanity fucking dies. Let's be fair.
Yeah,
Most of humanity dies.
I want you to say that. Remember, Antarctica has a landmass under it. I'm pretty sure the entire world's just gone.
No, it isn't. So what happens is there was a big accident in Antarctica. They do you want me to spoil the nitty-gritty or do you want to learn as we go?
Let's learn as we go. For
I
those who
will
don't
simply
know,
state that what happened was in the aftermath of Second Impact, Antarctica is mostly been destroyed. It is now pillars of salt in a dead sea. Literally, the entire
get it?
sea is dead.
Get it?
But if you're wondering, the entire Southern Ocean is essentially there. Nothing grows there anymore. It is a dead ecological dead zone.
Oh, that's all of South America and South Africa. Just
Well, most of them are dead. Straight up, over half of
Australia, though.
humanity died.
Australia, though, I believe would survive.
Well, yeah, because
Nothing would have changed.
no, it would just be the exact same. So yeah, in the aftermath of this, a lot of nations partially collapsed, and the United Nations are kind of barely holding things together.
You know, despite the fact that the United Nations would have no authority.
It basically wouldn't, but a lot of essentially they stepped in because other than like some of the major guys, most of the nation states have collapsed at this point.
This would mean that the Security Council, either they all survived or literally, I think probably France would have to have been the one that survived.
The main powers that we'll get into it, but the major powers include places like Germany, Japan, and the US. The US is still partially intact, as is the United Kingdom.
Hmm.
France to a degree.
I mean, what makes if it's on the northern hemisphere?
Well, the thing is, the northern hemisphere is also fucked because it's going through a micro ice age.
Ah,
Yeah, things aren't good. Humanity is essentially on a knife's edge.
and apparently the second impact was caused the awakening and the defeat of a powerful being labeled Adam.
Correct. Essentially, they found an extraterrestrial entity known as Adam in the ice, and in the process of taking him down, allegedly, it kind of exploded. He
Oh,
kind of
okay.
exploded, taking Antarctica with him.
What if Adam was the thing?
We'll get into the cosmology if they don't. But you're not
So,
as far off as you think.
so what is this game? It is a modification of the Dark Heresy role-playing game geared for running Neo Genesis Evangelion, inspired by the fan fiction
Oh
Shinji and Warhammer
no.
40k.
Oh no. Oh no,
In
not this again. God forbid you actually base it on the material. In this case, they are. They are basing it on the material. It's just the initial idea came from the ridiculousness of it. It's still not a good start to your project, though. Let's be fair. Word of advice,
No.
if you're doing an IP-based product, probably focus on the core aspects of what's there rather than the weird headcanon garbage people invent. You know?
Can you share this image?
What image?
I found it on the TV tropes page.
Uh, does it
Started
feature
in
Ayanami Ray?
no. It's Shinji on a throne of angel skulls.
Sure, I can do that. It'll take a little bit, so let's show our ugly mugs
Started
for a
in
little bit.
2007, declared finished in 2019 at 791,000 words.
Yeah, it's pretty big. So I've heard of it.
Um,
I've even actually been dumb enough to read a little bit of it. I don't remember too much of it, but essentially what happened is in this fan fiction, Shinji finds a beaten up, broken copy of I don't remember what edition of Warhammer he got his hands on, but essentially what happened was rather than be the pliable little soul that his dad, who is essentially Japanese Rusty Venture, was, um,
no, no,
it leads to
no, not
this.
Rusty Venture. No, Doctor Venture.
If
Don't
you're
slander.
wondering why I'm calling Gendo, that's his father, Gendo Ikari, Rusty Venture from now on, that's because that's the title Randall gave him when he tried to figure out what the plot of this series was. We actually have a video of that, which I will link in a comment. But we
So
did do
I've
a
realized
summary of this.
I did look up this though. So again, the fan fiction is at 791,000 words.
It's because his chapters are
That is longer
huge.
than the King James version of the Bible.
That's because he doesn't know how to cut chapters down in size. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
That's the reason I tapped out. The dude just did
yeah.
not know how to abridge.
Fanfic writers, if you're somehow listening, get a fucking editor.
Alternatively, write what you want the ending to be first, because holy shit, you don't need to make One Piece. Hell, I'm tired
I,
of One Piece. I've been tired of it for, oh god, it's been going that long. Shit!
I just realized, Warhammer does have a profound impact on people's lives. I don't think it would affect you that much.
Um, you would be surprised. You would be surprised at how much it can drag people out of despair, especially because that is a major aspect of the show, is despair.
Oh, in that case. Uh,
Like unironically,
yeah.
despair, it's psychological torment, sadness, um, running away from responsibilities to a degree, and a big critique on Japanese culture at the time, right when the economy went down the fucking toilet. If you are wondering, one of the big things, and the reason why they had the whole daddy issue thing between the main character and his dad, it was a big middle finger to Japanese work culture, taking away the position of the traditional Japanese father. Where they don't appear at all, and basically work themselves to death in a cube.
The
They also
Japanese
mentioned
war
Rebuild
culture.
of Evangelion, which I'm not a fan of
Wait,
Rebuild, especially
yeah.
since in later movies, essentially Anno tells you to go outside and touch grass, even though he refuses to give up this IP because besides Shin Godzilla, this is kind of all he has.
I just find it funny that considering what Shinji does as that being the end result of Japanese war culture, your kid's gonna be fucked up.
Yeah. And it just goes right into character creation. Here are all of the main characters from the show. You got Shinji, who's looking way more intense than he normally is. You got Rei, who essentially she's kind of like the prototypical
That's the
goth
blue-haired
girl.
one.
Yep. And you got Asuka, which is one of your more classic
That's
tsundere
red
characters.
hair. Then there's Doctor Venture.
There's Rusty. There's Rusty right there.
I get it's just so not fair to Rusty to call him that.
True, Rusty is a
Rusty
better
actually gave a
father
shit.
than Gendo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Rusty is a far better father than Gendo. Well, actually, no. If you think about it, And this is why. Remember, like Rusty, Gendo has clone tanks. We'll get into those. He has clone tanks for the child he actually gives a shit for.
Yeah, but then the purple-haired girl.
That's Misato, Captain Katsuragi, who another thing that this show has a habit of doing is no one is sane. No one is psychologically stable.
And then the blonde chick.
Ritsuko, Dr. Akagi, Ritsuko, she essentially is this setting's Q. She is
Oh,
the main computer specialist as well as biologist and science lady.
and then his
She
mother.
is also 1 second away from fuck snapping, and her concept of morality has gone down the toilet years ago.
And then, of course, Shinji's mother.
Yeah, there's his mom. Yeah, well,
Right behind him.
yeah, that's his
We're not
mom.
going to explain why.
Yep. Character creation, which I think this is from. Oh god, this is from like
So
a. This is from something.
this is from Dark Heresy.
No, I
It
mean the art is from. I
Oh,
think
the
this is
art.
old. I think this is old Anno design concepts for characters, or this was for like from a game. Misato being a ruthless HBIC who is a fantastic false mother figure. She also legitimately tries to sexually assault Shinji in the movie.
Ah, so she's not only a mother figure, but the cause of an Oedipus complex.
In fairness, again, End of Evangelion also has Shinji
Well, yeah, we know what we know.
on
We know what he
Asuka's
does.
comatose body,
Yes.
and then he strangles her.
That's-
Yeah, yeah,
It's all tumbling down, tumbling down, tumbling down.
yeah. There's not much that you can say after that.
Yeah. So let's. You got the background, which is how they came to be an Ava pilot. Was it genetic disposition? Have they been training?
No.
Are they incredibly fucked up?
Okay. Do you want to know how you become an Evangelion pilot? So you
You
you know
chose.
how the kitsune from World of Darkness have their parents die, like a relative die to make sure they get born.
You have to be an orphan,
Not a
presume.
perfect orphan, but you have to be, especially you're gonna be missing a mother.
So you got to be Bambied.
You have to be Bambied. You have to be miss. You have to either be motherless or fatherless. This is a requirement. And then on top of that, you are then pre-screened by, well, essentially top secret government agencies. We'll get into that more. It's pretty messed up.
Also, Gallery Group has pointed out that the picture above is from Gynex's website, all the
That's
way from
why.
2003.
It is partially through emotional distress because, well, they'll get into it.
Yeah.
No, no.
Then you do
First of all,
your.
you're remembering the TV show where that happens with Captain Katsuragi. In the movie, she actually legitimately makes a pass at him, like an actual pass at him. You're thinking of the TV show version, which is much better. But yeah, once you pick your background, you can roll your characteristics. You roll 2d10 11 separate times because this uses the Dark Heresy mechanic, where it basically does your
Yeah.
stats and you write down the resulting numbers. You remove the lowest number from the pool and assign the remaining 10. You can also there are also drawbacks and assets. And unlike previous versions, taking drawbacks does not provide experience. It provides depth, which may be spent on assets before the game begins. They basically took the merits and flaws concept and just kind of slapped it on, which was probably better mechanically.
A little. I'd say that's a little bit better because
You didn't miss
given
much,
it's a.
Percival. I will tell
Yeah.
you, like, End of Evangelion, it technically gives an ending, but uh, for all that the last couple of episodes sucked because they ran out of budget, I just prefer the congratulations. I know it's a meme, but it's like a better. It's just better. 2d10 for measly stats. Well, here's the reason, Galliard Group, because you also start with baseline stats. All your characters usually start with at minimum a 20. The 2d10 is added on to that. So if you're at 30, you're considered average.
Yeah. But then you get your career, you get your the points for your Evangelion.
Which is a biomechanical abomination that is part angel and part. The best way to describe it is it is the equivalent of piloting a daemon engine, and about as dangerous to your psyche as it is piloting that
Uh,
or a Titan.
well, no, well, don't forget the Wraith Knights from the Eldar, in which you actually are. It's like, for instance, was it? Yeah, no, it is the Wraith Knight, powered by a dead twin.
You say that, but yeah, I mean, you just have to have a missing family member to power the machine.
Then
Another
Country of
another reason
Origin.
another reason I call Gendo rusty, because he has a machine powered by souls.
He only used no. Souls is different. Rusty only used one.
Oh, he didn't
He only
even use
used
all
one
of it.
orphan.
He used part of one.
Yeah, he used part of the orphan.
What we're trying to say is that Rusty Venture is a far better super scientist than Gendo Ikari.
And a better father.
An order of magnitude better father. He's at least involved in their life a bit.
Not a bit, the entirety of their lives.
I mean, he's kind of a mess up, but like, yeah, he's there. He's not there for them, but he is there with them, even if he can't meet that. You know.
Well, no, if you've watched the movie, no. He's been there for their entire lives.
I'm just saying, like, despite his problems, he does the best he can,
Yeah,
unlike his father, Jonas.
yeah. So,
The best way to describe Rusty is that's basically what Shinji's going to turn into when he grows up.
but now we get into our backgrounds.
So these are some basic backgrounds. There's only 4 of them: Neo Spartan, Prodigy, Manufactured, and Impact Survivor, which are based on the 4 major characters. You used a forsaken child, as quoted from
Harsh.
Dr. Orpheus, master of the mysterious and the supernatural. Sorry, I had to do the voice.
Mm.
So, Neo Spartan is essentially Asuka. While still a child, one of many powerful organizations selected you as one of humanity's future saviors. Since then, your life has been orchestrated to prepare you for that role. Hours of training and simulation, as well as tactical training and physical conditioning, have made you a superior fighter and pilot in virtually all forms.
And destroyed probably all of your social skills.
Well, yeah, there are negative traits, which are memento. You're a living weapon, for example. You're also a lone
You know,
wolf,
it says
usually.
says something when a guy like Master fucking Chief has more social skills.
Well, also another negative is yeah, this type of upbringing
Well, they also said,
causes problems. Like you basically have a mask of sanity.
well, the other thing is he had teammates, so
Yes.
that helps. Prodigy. I'm mixing my words up. You never heard of the Evangelions. You were among the vast majority of humanity that believes Second Impact to just be a meteor strike.
But that life's been shattered. You've been tapped by a powerful organization to pilot a living machine of war. Whether they knew your talent before or only recently discovered you, you possess the ability to synchronize with your Evangelion unit without years of training.
Interesting. Unlike iDubbbz, you're able to be empathic before you're 30.
They have unlocked empathy.
Stable. Expert coward. Manufactured. After it became obviously Evangelions won't synchronize with anyone, we'll just build someone who can synchronize with them.
Yep, and they had to use that picture of Ray because, okay, whatever.
Oh, come on.
You could have picked any other option, but okay. So yeah, you're replaceable. So that means that you basically live like the clones from Paranoia. The problem is you tend to be flawed or gullible, or essentially your understanding of of society and your value of self worth is nothing.
That actually does give me an idea for a paranoid game that is just a parody of Evangelion.
I'm just envisioning friend computer in replacement of the Magi.
Or Friend Computer as Gendo.
I'm just envisioning it just having a screen that just has the glasses and just like a pair of digital hands appear in front of him.
Well, because friend computer is just one I know, it just has one glass, one frame.
And last but not least, Impact Survivor. So this is Misato's background. So
Isn't that everybody though?
Misato was at Ground Zero.
Oh,
She was the daughter of the lead scientist from the expedition that went to Antarctica, and she saw him die.
how is she not dead then?
He saved her. He used all of his life and will to save her. By the way, that kind of destroyed her completely, psychologically.
Yeah, as for instance, the negative trait trauma.
I mean, another example of this would be her on and again, off again boyfriend Kaji, who, out of a troop of orphans, was the only one to actually make it to adulthood.
But then we do get our characteristics, which rip straight from Warhammer: weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, agility, intelligence,
Well, it's a
perception,
conversion.
willpower,
No, there is one
fellowship.
thing. Instead of I don't know what they had instead. Is this Psyker rank? I don't
Hold,
know. Sync
hold on,
ratio.
hold on. I've got my second edition book right here.
It has. I haven't touched a Fantasy Flight Warham's game in a long time, so I
Let
don't
me scroll
remember.
through.
Also, you are correct. Galliard Group Masato was there and basically
Influ-
saw people die.
well, at least for second edition, it's influence.
Okay. If you're wondering what synchronization ratio is, they'll explain it, so I'm not going to here. But yeah, Masato is on ground zero, and the entire thing is each character is trying to run away from something or is trying to hide from something, or essentially they lack the coping ability, and they refuse to learn to cope, either due to situations, timing, or the influences of others. Initiative is not that stat.
No, it's not influence.
Yeah, it's influence instead. Again, it's rather important, and if you're wondering, you'll see why their ratings are so different, are so high, much higher, except for Impact Survivor, which is lowest. Oh, also, there is an in-lore reason for this. The in-lore reason is specifically those who were born after Second Impact, for just whatever reason, are slightly more capable of connecting with an AVA unit. Adults can't really do it. That's why they use child soldiers. At least that's one of the main reasons. There's others. For example, they're a lot more easy to indoctrinate. Yeah, Shinji got into the robot before GTA 6. That's cursed.
But now we get to our drawbacks. Big ego.
Depth value 10. So yeah, this is Asuka's main drawback, which does basically have to see yourself as the best, and
That no
if
one ever was.
you do, you want to see that you're the best that no one ever was, and if that ever gets questioned, you will try to fight as hard as you can to prove them wrong. But if you consistently fail, you're gonna break. Your
Which in this
self-worth
system,
is based on your ability, and when your
yeah,
ability is
at the
questioned, your self-worth drops, and it's an infinite cycle.
at the next available opportunity, they must attempt some action that imposes a net negative 20 penalty on its roll. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, because
By the way,
you're
that's
under
not just a
threat, so
net
you're going to show off.
net. No bonus. That means even with the bonuses, it's got to be a negative 20.
Yep.
Yep, and then chronic
Also, you
pain for your
take no. You also take
fibromyalgia.
penalties. There's another one. You also take penalties to fellowship, intelligence, and perception because you're just too busy seething after you got upstaged. Yeah, you got fibromyalgia, like you mentioned.
Clumsy, compulsive behavior, coward, damaged goods. How's that different from? Oh, please tell me they don't mean that.
No, they mean that basically,
Just insane. It seems 10 insanity points. So you're just insane.
you have a derangement already. Yeah.
Okay. Dark secret, which
Yeah.
could be anger, denial, in which when they say delusion disorder, literally just you'll have to buy Dark Heresy to know that.
Oh
which,
wow.
I mean, I do have second edition, not the first, but they probably still have that.
I'm not a fan of that.
Remember,
If you're I understand that you're supposed to use it with Dark Heresy, but if you're gonna do a conversion, make it so that you can use the book by itself, please.
there could be a concern of if you put all those rules in there, you might get sued.
True, true. There's a reason why you don't really copy and borrow from that because unless it's an open game license or they have permissive ability, which let's be blunt, this is a GW product. It's better not to gamble. It's a lot better not to gamble. Yeah, fair enough.
And it's just a type of disorder.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
you can look it up or you can just kind of GM rule how it works if you don't feel like cracking it open. Also, dependent, your sense of self-worth is overly influenced by the opinion of others. You choose one person if their opinion for the pilot is ever negative, you just take a 10 -10 to all rolls for hours. Depressive, dim. Yeah, you're not smart. You're kind of dumb. You're kind of horrifically stupid. Someone looked at you and said, I don't know how you learned how to breathe and walk at the same time. You're an astonishment of medical science.
fanatical. Let's see, impetuous, ineptitude, lonely, low pain threshold,
Medicated.
medicated, overweight.
Yeah, being fat's bad. Who'd have thought that?
But I'm healthy at any size.
Who'd have
Uh,
thought that?
wait. Oh no. Like several other Japanese anime games, you could take a prejudice stat.
Yes, you can.
Considers one demographic to be subhuman and will not willingly tolerate their presence.
In fairness, I think this was genuinely borrowed from Dark Heresy.
You know, probably,
I think this is an
but in
actual
that,
trait you can get.
but but in this case, there's actual mutants. We can't make our Shinji anti-Semitic,
No, you
or at
can.
least we shouldn't be.
You can. Wait, what? But here's the problem why
It's
you
all that.
shouldn't.
Listen,
No,
listen. Do you see the reason why they call it angels? Why they're all named after Jewish uh, entities? It's because the Jews caused Second Impact.
get in the robot, fatty. I mustn't run away. I know, I mustn't waddle away. I mustn't waddle away.
Let's make the
Waddle,
Third
waddle.
Impact, and we'll bring back the Third Reich.
Well, you're saying that, but reminder that the company that you work for, NERV, that's German for nerve. And you're also technically under subordination of Seal, which is German for soul. And the machinery was tested and designed at Gehirn, which means brain in German. It's very German coded, I'm trying to say. I think I horrified him.
I
Well,
what
you didn't realize that like it's very German like it
what
is
was
very
Anno trying
German.
to say?
Well, I could say this, at least it's not as bad as Attack on Titan with its weird choices where they made the giant monsters actual Jews. They made the
Oh God,
giants.
where if they're actually Jews? Oh wait, no, they don't have generals, so they can't do the certain.
Well, no,
They can't do
it's
this.
because they were made by essentially. Okay, so the thing about Attack on Titan, it's a bit of a sidetrack, but since we're getting into this, it was written by a hardcore Japanese nationalist who was into some weird conspiracies. In particular, he might have been interested in the concept of Zionist occupied governments, and that
But
the Titans
knowing,
were
but
big psyops made by them.
when he means that, is that in the way where it's like the some groups look at the idea of the Jews controlling everything. It's like let's be friends with them, or in the traditional way.
In the sense that they use the Titans to cleanse the planet for the chosen people, kind of way.
So they're golems.
Kind of yes, kind of no. They are humans that essentially have been forced to become Nephilim.
So they're half Jews.
Kind of.
Well, that makes it even more confusing. Um, you can also be unalival.
Yeah, you choose to ride down that slide. By the way, you are correct on Anna just thought the German names sounded really good because they do. NERV looks like a really good acronym, doesn't it?
That's what that's I think what most people use. But then we have our assets
Yeah,
at being an academic, a fucking nerd.
which if you're wondering, this is an asset that Asuka had. She technically, what was it? Depending on the version, because there's technically two Asukas. There's the TV Asuka Langley Soryu, and then there's the other one where she's named after like two Japanese aircraft carriers instead. They changed her name. And the big difference is one of them is actually a material sciences and chemical prodigy who basically has a college degree already. Not that it matters since she never really talks about it. Well, she brags about it, but she doesn't do anything with it. And then you had the one where she basically passed through officers training and essentially passed through the equivalent of West Point from Germany as a teenager. Still a hyper genius, just different education background.
Let's see more of these.
Essentially, you are a hyper genius that has a degree that you shouldn't have at that age.
Let's see.
Either that, or you're just a once in a generation prodigy that invented things that should not be.
Yeah, hold on. I think I'm looking at these. I think a lot of these are just from
Quite a few of them are.
Dark Heresy.
Some of them are renamed, but a lot of these are benefits that you could get. Well, one of the things I most hate about the rebuilds are that they never actually gave any names to the angels. They always just called them first angel, second angel, third. Well, they technically gave Adam the name, but any angel after Adam and Lilith never got a name.
No Samael, Ramiel. Well, no, that was
in
they
the
didn't do that
TV
in the
show.
movie?
They were given names, and they were also given titles. Like
What were they afraid God was going to copyright claim them?
maybe. All I do know is the only one I remember, the two I remember, their titles were Ramiel, which was I think its title was the Thunderous Angel or God's Thunder, and then you had Gagiel, which was the Lord of Fish, which was the one that they fought on the aircraft carrier.
Hold on, let me see. List of angels.
In Rebuild, they
Sachiel,
just yeah.
Shemshal, Ramiel, Gagiel, Israfel, Sandephalon,
Sandalphon, yeah.
Matariel,
Hmm.
Saquiel, Irlu, Lalel, Bardiel, Zirel, Arel,
That's from the TV show.
Armisel,
Oh, that's when
Tavris,
they
and
ran out of
Mulan.
budget. Armisiel is when
Uh,
they ran out of budget.
and it's just a halo.
Well, no, it turns into other things, but what happens is it infects things it touches. Each of the angels have a power that is loosely based on. Basically, if you're curious, look up biblical angels and look at what their purview is. That gives you a decent hint on what they can do. Ramiel, for example, means the Lord's thunder, essentially, which is why it could blast out big fuck off laser beams, because it's the Lord's wrath. Sahaquiel is something involving the sky, so that's why it's an atmospheric monster. If you're gonna do this, basically, you look at the celestial version of the Ars Goetica, pick your angel, and then describe what they do. I don't remember Ariel at all. Which one was the aggressive geometric monstrosity angel again? There's a lot of those.
The one that looks like what, a trapezoid?
Well, that's Ramiel, but
Or yeah.
there's also what is the one? Leliel. Leliel's my favorite because technically it lives in an antimatter subdimension pocket, and that the three-dimensional object you see is not it, but its shadow.
Here's the thing, I don't know if
Because that's the other thing. You're fighting eldritch abominations that defy physical convention of form and reality.
the jaws of God.
Mm-hmm. Because Gagiel is a big fish. And I heard someone. Who dat?
Am I on the internet?
You are
Yes.
on the internet, Biggs. Oh, you got out of the dummy
Oh, boy.
plug. Your over synchronization has gone down. I thought you were Tang, man.
Now, Now I can say bad words on the internet.
Yes, you can.
All right. Okay, what was I gonna say? I still haven't watched Evangelion. I somehow picked up the fucking box set at a flea market for a pretty little penny,
That's about what
and
it's
I gotta
worth.
watch it one of these days.
I think out of the lot, the TV show is it at its best, even though it kind of shits the bed near the end because they ran out of money and Hideaki Anno was in the middle of an actual emotional meltdown.
Yeah,
I just viewed the ending as like Evangelion. It's just like Hidaki just said like I hate you all. Just flips you
that
off
was
real
from the
quick.
movie.
That end of
You know?
Evangelion was his attempt to try to give an ending that he thought was more fitting. And then Rebuild was him growing more and more hateful of the audience he accumulated, while also desperately wanting their money. Up to and including Rebuild 3, which culminates in him basically saying, "Go fuck yourself, you otaku freaks. Take a shower and touch grass. Grow
And
the
then
fuck up.
I
Don't be these losers," points at the 14-year-olds.
and then he decided to make new versions of Godzilla, Kamen Rider.
Gundam.
No, he didn't do a Gundam.
I
No, he
think
did.
no, he
Oh,
did.
he did.
He did.
He did.
He
He
did
then
G-Quack.
and then what's that other? It's like the giant alien superhero.
Ultraman?
Yes,
Oh, he worked on Ultraman, huh?
he did. He did Shin Ultraman.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Uh,
Anno's pretty talented overall when you can actually get him to fucking commit and finish. He's not like
I would also
a
like.
diva, but damn, dude.
Well, I will say though, if I had to deal with otakus, the anime fans of the West, I think I would go crazy too and murder someone.
Well, in fairness, the Japanese
Well, remember
otakus are something else.
there was one otaku that did set an anime studio on fire and killed people.
Yep.
That was like, I believe,
The most
not
listen, none of the insane fans in the West have done something like that.
not
They've
just
mainly
rape
just made YouTube careers calling Kathleen Kennedy evil.
and rape.
Or
Don't forget rape.
alternatively, crying about some terrible voice actor from 20 years ago ruining their childhood as a 40-year-old person.
It's pitiful. It's not hateful.
It's
I
sad.
would like to say
It's not. It is not. I have proceeded to plant 5 pounds of Semtex into your studio.
I would like to say something today too that happened. That's amazing. That lined up with today's episode as well. Our new hire has a fucking Evangelion tattoo. This motherfucker has the Ray when she goes third impact happens, and you just see her boobies.
When you said Rey, I thought you meant Star Wars for a second, and I'd say fire that person.
Oh, I thought it was Amuro Ray. Amuro Ray
No.
shirtless inexplicably
No,
for no reason.
this motherfucker just has fucking Evangelion. You know, it's the bad Evangelion fan because I didn't see every Unit 1. That's how you know they're fake fans. They don't like the giant robots.
Well,
Like
the
me.
reason I'm concerned is that the character that he has on him that is naked is underage.
Ahsoka's there as well.
Okay, fire him.
I think the guy. I don't think you should trust him around people.
Yeah. Also, Cherry. Yeah, I would agree. Sometimes English fans can cause crimes. I mean, Patrick McGowan did have to leave his home for like 2 weeks after the ending of The Prisoner.
Hey, remember when they tried to threaten to kill the Voltron guys because they tried to swerve off the gay relationship, so they wrote it back?
Then again,
also remember they did that with Gundam. They had an emotional meltdown because they were like, "No, it's clearly lesbian." Where it's like, "No, they're not." Well, you really think the Japanese were going to commit to that?
Nobody's tried to kill anyone at the BBC for what they've done to Doctor Who at any point in time.
Well, that's just because they're, you know.
We can get some time. I'm sure Ahmed will find some reason to be pissed off at them.
But no, I'm not even kidding. One of the funniest things that you could actually see is the mental breakdown that they had for that one Gundam where they was like, "No, they're clearly lesbian," and they forgot.
Well, I will say this: as Gundam's biggest fan, Yuri shooters to die horribly. And in fact, I would like to take a machete and kill them all. I don't want these Yuri shooters in my fucking.
Well, that brings up.
Well, no, I wanted to. Let me just say one thing.
Page.
I was gonna very, very quickly. They didn't understand the Japanese culture, which saw lesbianism as a phase that you go through in middle school, and you're
And for
supposed to
something for me
grow
to
up
masturbate
and
to.
marry a man. That's an actual thing the Japanese think. It is teenage indiscretions.
I do want to point out, though, here at page 33 of one of the assets you can get, unshippable. Yes, you get the Chemgel talent and the immunity to the effects of the charming asset. However, if you willingly enter into a romantic relationship, the asset is lost. Only in relation to that individual.
So
Is that what Shinji should?
the best
Is
equivalent to this. Sorry.
that what Shinji should have taken when that one fuckboy was charming him?
You know the weirdest thing? So here's the weird thing about Shinji. What if I told you that apparently he's a lot like his dad? He's like the same exact sort of loser his dad was at that age.
I mean, isn't that the point of his character?
Well, yeah, but also the weird magnetism he has with like apparently women for whatever reason are drawn to him a little bit. It's weird, but that's something his dad also had. Oh no, this book is not that. This book is a conversion.
Yeah.
I just like to take the piss out of Eva just because there's stuff in it that it does well, and it's like the first real deconstruction of the mecha genre, like the super
I would say
robot
this.
genre.
For the English-speaking audience, you go back to even to a decade beforehand, and you already had shows like Iden. I mean, fucking Gundam as well.
Gundam to a degree, but
That's what
this is technically more of it more gives the finger to things like Mazinger. In fact, it's a
the
big
thing with
deconstruction of
Gundam is
Mazinger Z.
the homosexuals that I have conversed with that like anime will say Gundam didn't push it hard enough, and because Evangelion was all about the angst, means it's good because I too am also a depressed man that wants to kill myself.
Well, no, they
And
did push it.
don't
Remember,
forget,
they made Gundam Wing, and that's like the favorite one for shippers. They love to have Hero get railed by Duo for whatever reason. There's like a fucking half the fan fictions are just about them getting railed by each other.
and don't forget, Evangelion had those religious themes.
They didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Well, that's the thing. The Japanese take a look at Judeo-Christian mythology and go, "Wait, you actually believe this nightmarish shit? Why?" They look at it like you would a fascinating form of parasitoid wasp.
Because some dudes in a desert made a contract with a deity. That's why.
Ava's Midgar and Lagan go, brrr.
Actually, I would argue
Yeah.
because we couldn't do a slave revolt and couldn't read a fucking map.
Well, if only that one guy's Peasant Rebellion succeeded, then they would be real Christians.
So here are the careers that you get in Evangelion. Scales. Adeptus Evangelion takes place in 2 scales of play. Personal and Evangelion scale. Pilots operate in both and gain abilities geared for this purpose. However, pilots are only in 1 scale at a time. There are many Evangelion scale abilities that are mechanically the same as those that blah 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 blah. But what they do is they clarify. If it's E, it's Eva. If it's P, it's personal. If it's EP, it's both.
So these are your careers. Being a skirmisher.
These are the people that specialize in rifle works. Traditionally,
or melee.
To a degree, but they more go from the sides.
Keeping a small armory of weapons handy. And you get the characteristic developments every time you progress. I think it's like bonuses each time.
You can
so
improve.
It's 100 XP.
It's +5 each time, if I recall.
Yes. And then breaking down into specifics if you want to be a scout type, a warrior type. And then your advances in those skills.
And sometimes you'll need prerequisites. Like if you want Catfall, which they quote DH, that means it's from Dark Heresy. You have to read that instead. It tells you what you need. For example, for Catfall, you need Agility 30, which basically means you just need average on your die roll for that stat.
Oh, actually, no. The rank Sorry, it's not the type, it's the rank. So if you spend 0 to 999 XP, you're a scout.
No,
The
no, it's
next
not
level is
spent.
warrior.
It's how much you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to say, just put the damn detail in there.
It
And I
should, but
suppose knowing what
sued.
knowing what the hell Dark Heresy is, beforehand. I mean, I guess you
They'd be
probably should
worried
have done
about
this
getting
beforehand.
sued. And if you're curious, Pagan Pilot, and for those listening in, the way Adeptus Evangelion works is it is a conversion of Dark Heresy. It is a conversion of Fantasy Flight's Warhammer 40,000 Dark Heresy. If you want to play in this anime, it's one way you can do it.
I'll say this about Fantasy Flight RPG. I haven't heard anybody that's played the new fucking Warhammer 40K role play system.
It's the
Which
Warhammer
one?
Fantasy Roleplay 3.0. No one wants it.
Well, no.
I don't
No,
want
no.
it.
Which one? There's like
Which
3.
one?
There's 3 versions
You mean like
they're
Yes.
selling.
you mean like 3 in the sense like we had like Rogue Trader, Black Crusade, like that?
No,
You
no,
mean?
no. There's
No. Instead of doing that, they've done like Imperium Maledictum, which is the same thing of like Dark Heresy, where it's individual scale, and then one where you want to play as Space Marines and just go balls out violence.
I'd
That
like
one.
to
It's
do
the
that.
same. It's the
Yes.
same system that they use for the Age of Sigmar RPG.
yeah, and that's not, and it turned a lot of people off.
No.
We
So
should
what you're
look for the Age
saying
of
is
Sigmar one.
so what you're saying
I
is
think
this
you're the exception to the group on that one, my guy.
what you're saying is this Death Watch physical hardbound copy of the RPG is worth its weight in gold, is what you're telling me.
What I'm trying to say is that they
Yeah,
have
somewhat.
Deathwatch at home, and it's basically great value brand Deathwatch. I mean, it probably works.
It's different. It's hey, do you want to just do any investigation or conversations, or do you just want to have your Space Marines blow shit up violently, and you don't want to care about that? And like,
I'm envisioning a world eater in a detective hat trying to figure out like a crime.
He's trying to find out the Scooby-Doo mystery.
I'm just trying to like imagine a world eater or like a blood angel going through the Black Rage. That'd be a fantastic shit.
will they be an
post.
expert hound?
Oh yeah, Wrath and Glory. I don't really give much of a shit for that. 4th edition's tolerable. 4th edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is a definite improvement over what the hell 3.0 was. We actually covered that book last week. We covered covered the Druchii book.
Which of the when we played Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which system were we using?
Only
I know it was
War.
Fantasy
So
Flight.
Fantasy Flight has a lot. There is Rogue Trader, which is most like
I meant Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I
You
know.
guys are
second
playing
edition.
second.
Second edition we tended to use because first is a bit clunky, second refined it. It is probably the best of the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing editions.
The one thing I'll give kudos for, they probably would have done it either way with any of them, but second edition had nothing on Lustria. These newer editions, at least, like, hey, here you go. Here's some minerals.
Oh, that is a compliment
And,
I give. Its career paths are much more limited, and I don't think it's very good at constructing adventures. It's also not exactly the best at coming up with new careers or options for new races that they wouldn't have played otherwise. But you can play Man of War on it now. They have enough campaigns you could do a Man of War game.
Hey, here's your first reference to end in like 10 years.
Koresh as well. They talked about Koresh. You could do, if you wanted to, if you really wanted to, you can do what the heck's the name of that movie? You could do Rush Hour in Grand Cathay's Exclave as elves. Don't you want to play the Grand Cathayan who teams up with the wisecracking Assyrian to deal with the Druchii drug cartel in Eldar?
Going back to this game, so after the skirmisher, you get the berserker. You get a bond with your
well, no, there's the point man. You skipped point man.
Point man. Yeah, point
no
man.
Point for you, man.
Point man's just kind of
tactical.
the rifle dude, a tactical guy, tactical marine equivalent.
You rarely leave damage to your opponent, but you leave them open for attacks from your allies.
Yep. And it gives you a lot of options. Quite a bit of it's
Yep.
from Dark Heresy. Basically, this thing has the weakness of this is a thing against it, in my opinion, where you have to actually have a second book. I'm not a fan of this. You have to do this with Vampire the Requiem if you really want to play Requiem, because Requiem Second Edition, it's mechanically much smoother than First Edition, but the problem is the lore was cut because they had to meet page count for what they had a self-imposed page count. Basically, they had to keep it a certain size. They had to cut things that were really critical, so you have to keep both open if you really want to get the best experience. That is a negative if you're doing a book.
So, yeah. So then we have the
Now you
Berserker
have the Berserker, which is, yeah.
melee combat, but also a special bond with the Evangelion,
I would not have. Well, I guess, yeah. Shinji technically is a Berserker. He
as
does.
it
He does tend to
slowly
do that.
becomes more self-aware.
Well, yeah, because
Which
remember,
makes
it has a
which like
spirit.
if you look the simple upgrade for the sync ratio, it's on the same par as your weapon skill.
Yeah, I mean, your whole thing is sync ratios. By the way, you don't want your sync ratio to be too high because otherwise you can turn into goo.
Then AT Tactician.
Do they even describe what AT means?
Absolute territory field is the ultimate defense and weapon of choice
Oh
of
no, it's
the
not called
angels.
territory. It was supposed to be absolute terror field, but territory field works. It's essentially it's essentially
Psyker. Your
yes and no. It's
well, I meant for
more
the equivalent.
yes and no. There is a term for it. I'm trying to come up. It's the tension. Oh God, what's the term for it? You know how water beads and doesn't tend to spread as easily, and tension. It is the surface tension of your soul, the thing that separates you, that keeps you being you, rather than becoming flesh goo. It is the light of your soul and how strong. Essentially, yeah, it is Psychers, but like
Yeah, pretty.
it's a bit different. I was wrong. That must have been that's an English dubism. Then that's an English dub error.
Uh-oh. Fake
Whoopsie.
fake.
AT Magician. So yeah, so you basically have your melee, your tactical, your jack of all trades, and your psyker.
You also have improved sync ratio because again, your whole thing is angels have really strong AT fields.
Yeah.
What you do is you're really good at piercing that.
But now we get into the skills and talents, and so first we get what AT, like AT maneuver allows you to learn AT based tricks. Bloodlust, pilot enters a violent enraged state. Controlled rage, have more options while in bloodlust.
Oh, you don't you missed cannibalize. Consume fallen enemies for health or
Or buff.
BUP. Causality control. From the grave, reactivate after being defeated and then go mad.
I am not left-handed. Change which hand is dominant at will.
Which is pretty neat.
Like a cruel angel, improve your berserk type with a new ability. Mimic field, borrow an AT power from an angel you have analyzed.
That's pretty cool.
That sounds. Rip and tear, rip off the damaged limb of an opponent.
Sacrifice or directed an attack named at you to a nearby ally to your arm.
Then they go further, like AT maneuver here with the AT powers. Energy efficient, fluid tuned. Fluid tuned. Use your sync ratio when tests swim instead of strength. Okay. Inertia boost, agility by 1. White plane range weapons used don't jam.
Percival's already predicting most people will take cannibalize, which that is one way to play. Imagine an all cannibal party where you just eat angels to gain their powers.
That's not sexy.
Bloodlust. Your character boils up and promptly explodes. As a half action, you incite yourself to a mad frenzy. +20 to weapon skill, willpower, -20 to ballistic skill and intelligence. And you must attack the nearest enemy in melee combat if possible.
I'm just now envisioning someone somehow has only a 20 int and they just go completely brain dead, so they're just making animal noises. Like they're not even capable of he is not even capable of speech now.
Well, I mean that's their test, not their actual stat.
Oh no, remember if your stats go to 0, that can result in some interesting things. Int going to 0 is you're literally mindless.
Oh, interesting. For cannibalize, it is it's also the Evangelions you can eat.
Yes, you can.
So you are a space marine.
You can eat your own friends.
That drop train. So
Oh,
now
that's
if you're,
disturbing. That's a disturbing fact, Donman.
what was the fact?
So the Japanese term for AT fields is a slang that's used by otakus to talk about the area. You know how sometimes women wear skirts and then they wear like leggings? It's that exposed area of their thighs.
Anno, what did you mean by this?
Otakus, what is wrong with you? Well, here's the thing, Percival, where everyone's crazy. Like, no, here's the thing: if you don't have
The
your
world
character
ended.
starting, you're on a death world.
Well, not on a death world. Civilization's over. Like,
it's barely
reality
around.
as we know it. Cthulhu has essentially awakened.
Like, yeah, we technically kind of killed him, but at any point, he can come back and just finish the job.
Now, what if somebody did Cthulhu versus Evangelion?
I mean, that straight up is what this is, basically.
Hey, what are you talking about? Shinji and the crew still go to school, kind of, whatever version of it is.
Let's see. Ghost in the Machine. A unique relationship with your Evangelion. One that will grow into a weapon far greater than one can wield in their own hands.
Basically, this is what Shinji eventually does, yeah.
Gravity Kick. Which I think that's also what he does.
That's how they beat Israfel.
Impossible. Some ideas that sound crazy, but they just might be crazy enough to work.
Also hot-blooded, so if you really want to play like a Gurren Lagann style character, there's a trait for you.
Interference pattern neutralizing the enemy AT field. So if the AT technician is like your psychic buffs, these are your
Debuffers.
Penalty debuffs for enemies.
Also, yeah, here's the thing, right? You're a child soldier. You have to fight eldritch abominations with unique and horrifying powers, but you still have to go to school. Because of this, interesting fact: all of the characters in Evangelion were basically failing their classes. I wonder why.
That's
Shinji, unironically, was the best performing one, and that's only because he kind of gave a shit about his grades.
so I do realize. So even if, let's say, they won and stopped the AVL, Gendo would have still beat him for failing school.
In fairness, Shinji was still the best performing of the two, because Rei genuinely didn't care, because in her own words, what does it matter? I could die on any day. My sole purpose is to pilot the machine. Meanwhile, Asuka basically flunked because she barely knows any Japanese. She reads like a second grader.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's not Japanese.
She's not.
Why did they do that?
She's half Japanese, but she never bothered to learn any. She's fluent in German and English, but not Japanese.
Oh, I wonder if that's a dig at the racial prejudice of the Japanese.
Well, there's also the matter that the other reason is she's arrogant and basically goes, I already have a college degree at a German gymnasium, like a German college, or the equivalent of West Point, like Bad Kohl or whatever for Germany, German West Point. Why the hell do I need to learn any of this? This is
because you live there.
No, you don't understand. Asuka is so petty she's also a bit nationalistic in her own way. Her mech only responds in German. Her Ava unit does not answer to any thoughts that are not thought of in German.
Well, I mean, there is another reason for that, but that I don't want to say spoiler.
Yeah,
Well, I kind of already spoiled a little bit.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Uh-oh.
We
Uh-oh.
didn't
Well,
spoil that part, though.
we'll hint. We'll keep hinting. Well, you always like to speak your mother tongue.
Boo.
But, like, legitimately, the mech only understood German. That was an entire gimmick in the episode where Shinji got shoved into the tube with her. What wacky hijinks will these two teenagers get in the tube as they fight the giant fish?
So, looking though at a lot of these skills, it's a lot of either psychic, sort of your psychic abilities, buffs, ability to retain yourself when you're in bloodlust, support for your other team members, or just skill buffs.
You're a child soldier that's constantly on the edge of an emotional breakdown, piloting a half machine, half organic abomination powered by physics that defies reality. That is also semi-sentient, aware, and angry. What did you expect?
But then we can get into on page 77 the skills themselves and what they've decided to keep and remove.
Here we go.
Because chem use, that's out.
Why? I mean,
Uh,
come on. You have hardcore drinkers and smokers. That's chem use.
I mean, yeah, although the chems in 40k aren't really that.
Have you seen Masato's apartment? Have you seen Ritsuko's ashtray?
They're, yeah, that's regular drug. We're talking about drugs that allow you to temporarily become a psyker.
I'm just now envisioning Gendo taking a rip from a bong, like a crack
Fent
pipe.
things that could be qualified as fent steroids.
I'm just envisioning Gendo just she's smoking a crack pipe now.
Or what the Emperor's Children do, which is to turn people into drugs.
Lawrence Keel is just taking Fent. He's just taking Fent as he looks over his child soldier routine.
Let's see, what else? Forbidden lore has to be removed. Sinence removed. Secret tongue removed.
Yeah, science. Yeah, it makes sense.
With a lot of this modified, like common lore, command, scholastic lore, speak language, tech use. They have added though computer use, and I like it. They then give more to the descriptions, where, for instance, command um, represents their ability to engage with operations directors.
Yeah, because the operation directors are the ones that often come up with the because again, these are teenage soldiers usually. Like, you're not necessarily the smartest or best. You're the one that can actually use the mech, you know?
But then common lore, the United States.
Oh yeah, the Soviet Union's a thing still.
No, the new Soviet Union.
I think this was made up, but I'm okay with it. Or maybe Anno mentioned it like offhand somewhere.
Computer use in this case involves hacking,
Well, yeah.
unlike in 40k where it's
You know what the
magical
weird thing
hacking.
is? The manga actually, this is one of the rare cases because there's an Evangelion manga line. One of the episodes in the original run is not represented in the manga at all, and that is, I believe, Ariel's appearance. It's also interesting. It's the only angel that is not defeated by the Avas at all. It's actually defeated by the personnel, because the way Ariel worked was it was an organic techno virus that basically tried to leech into the Magi systems.
So I see here with speak language, they allow for English, German, Japanese, Chinese, Russian, French, Spanish, Italian, and any other human language. That got me to an idea. You are a recently bar mitzvahed son of a rabbi within a Hasidic group, and you are using your ability, your Aramaic. You speak in Hebrew, Yiddish, and Aramaic.
I'm just now envisioning Asuka getting more and more frustrated as she screams at this guy in German, and the guy is trying to use Yiddish, and she's correcting him on being bad at speaking German.
The angel attacks on Shabbat. Actually, no, he would be allowed to use it because it's life or death.
It is legitimately a crisis against the thing that will end all of humanity. Yes.
Yeah, he's allowed.
Even if he isn't alive, even if I think the rabbis would just say we
No,
don't
you
give a
are,
shit.
you are.
We would collectively agree. We collectively agree that this thing
If
has to
you're
be
saving
used.
a life, in this case, all of life. But the thing is, he would have to first consult with the rabbi to be sure.
No, you forget the funniest of all. Esperanto makes a revival, so you have a person that actually speaks that in Klingon for whatever reason.
Nagas, Kavaska. Remember, in Elder Scrolls, Slowed is technically Esperanto. But moving
First of
on
all,
to
for me, Gendo's the type of person who takes pills. Oh no, I'm just now envisioning him like having a pill stream. Like he's like reporting to Lawrence Keel and he's completely pilled out. You see like a big bottle of vodka he stole from Masato and he's just looking cross-eyed. Fuyutsuku's in the background just looking nervous because he himself also needs to take pills because this is bad. And Lawrence is just grilling him before going, now do you have any of that good shit? I need some good too before my plans come into fruition. The instrumentality program shall be accomplished. Oh hey, a bit of
well,
Hebrew has been spoken.
yeah. While I'm Jewish, I can't read that.
I think we
Are
have
you
some.
telling me you're a fake Jew?
I
I'm
was
telling you, I'm a Jew that was born in America that wasn't raised up speaking or reading the language.
I
Because
can read perfect Latin. What's your excuse?
the language doesn't have vowels in its
Oh,
written
that sounds like
form
hell.
traditionally. Oh, wow, yeah, it is.
it's an well yeah, if you're so are we do am I able to do okay, language spurg time. Yes. So,
Oh my god.
Hebrew, just like most Semitic languages like Arabic, uses what's called an abjad system. Abjad is a specific type of writing system where it focuses on consonants only because of the emphasis and value it has on that. Because of that, you have to often interpret based on the symbol used, combined with other symbols, to determine what type of
Yeah.
vowel is used. There's a
The
variety
best
of
I can say
languages that
is
use it.
how you know in English when you have a G, H, and a T, even though it should probably be gushed, it's like g.
If you're wondering why Welsh is also a complete fucking nightmare to read, that's because it was a poetic language that doesn't convert well to Latin script.
Now, am I retarded or am I remembering this wrong? Where isn't modern day Hebrew kind of like a reconstruction of what
Yes,
they thought
because it
ancient
was.
Hebrew is?
Well, no, it's more
It's
this
an it
because it
was
was never a spoken like a conversational language.
well it was, but it
So
hasn't been used as a spoken language since like the
yes,
3rd century AD.
so what was primarily just used in prayers or in liturgy, you're now taking it and making it a conversational language.
There's a reason they also had to use a lot of rabbinical lore because there was stuff written in classical Hebrew that was not necessarily in the Talmud or other official religious documents. It helped round out the language.
It's why a lot of modern words they just like if you look, they'll spell Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, as in how it would sound in Hebrew.
To be
Essentially,
fair, a lot of
they did
languages just do that.
Yes.
they did something like how the Japanese invented its own writing script just to convert Western words over. It's essentially using the abjad to make katakana.
Well, it has been said the Japanese and the Jews are kind of similar.
It is sometimes said by some that the Japanese are at least members of several of the lost tribes. I'm not even kidding. There is a conspiracy that the Japanese might actually be the source of at least a couple of the lost tribes of Israel. There was also a very
That
famous
kind
corporate executive in Japan who basically looked at Jewish culture and said we must be more like the Jews. And he wrote a book about that. He was like
Well, yeah,
he was
it,
like the
it
head
was
of
the
one
it
of
was
the
the
successful auto companies.
yeah, it was the whole thing of, wait a minute, these guys control the entire world and all the money? Well, why do we want to stop them? Let's be friends with them. And you see, that's why Japan recovered so well after World War II.
So Evangelions, though they appear to be giant humanoid robots, the Evas are actually cyborgs, integrating a mostly biological being with substantial mechanical infrastructure and flexible... Yes, they are. They are essentially
So wait,
bioorganic abominations.
no, they're just bionicles.
Kind of. Now, it's a weird conspiracy, Percival. Like, I'm not even kidding. This was an actual thing that that used to be talked about mostly in like the 19th century.
So
Know
Evas are
your
not controlled through a
Evangelion. Yep.
manual interface. Instead, there are hand controls, but you need a focus, a telepathic control system, becoming extension of the pilot where normal vehicle rules cease to apply.
Oh, hey, I can reference BattleTech. It's similar to the neuro helmets they use for mech pilots.
Or the Titans from Warhammer.
Yes, essentially. Well,
Or
yes,
the Knights.
essentially, That's what the plug suit in the LCL is used for. It essentially is a conduit that allows your nerve impulses to interact with and interlay with the exterior shell.
Or the mechs from Pacific Rim.
I don't know where it came from first, but it's an old concept when it comes to mecha piloting.
I think it's always just been. It's different from being.
I mean, hell, it's similar to. I mean, even Gundam has a lesser version of it in the form of the Saikamu system.
Yeah, it's just a thing of, well, they look humanoid, and I guess sort of they're not. You're not piloting it like a vehicle, you're piloting it almost like a person.
All Avis are financed by Israel. Well, about that, Percival. We'll get to that possibly.
Wait.
Let's just say there is a cabal that may or may not include the Rothschilds. That what did you think Seal was?
How does this relate to table?
Seal
How does
is
this
the
relate
80
to
richest
tabletop?
families in the world.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
How does this relate to tabletop?
Well, the entry
It
plug.
relates to the setting.
So the entry plugs are long cylindrical structures with rounded ends that contain the cockpits for the Evangelions. Pilot enters the plug through a hatch. The plug is then filled with a yellow-tinted translucent
It
liquid
is not
called
yellow
LCL.
tinted. It is more red. It's actually supposed to be reddish. In the cartoon, it was turned to orange, which is why it's commonly compared to Tang. It's not crushed soda. It's usually compared to Tang. And that's why there used to be a term, at least among Western weebs who liked Ava, where if you just get turned into chunky salsa, they would just say you got tanged.
Then you use voice commands with mental thought for control of the Avas. Then you have your plug suits. Form-fitting, full-body garment that they wear to aid in synchronization.
They're also shrink fitted to you, so they're very
It also is
form-fitting.
able to give you CPR.
Yes, they can. There's little microsystems that can basically bring you back from the dead.
And you have a nerve chip.
Oh, you don't swim in
implanted in
Fanta.
you.
The best way to describe it is you swim in primordial soup, and it smells like blood.
Oh, it's Iron Lung.
Yes, essentially this is Iron Lung before Iron Lung. Also, Gendo is on the Epstein list. Not even surprised though. I'm not even gonna argue. He probably is, given the
Well, he probably went to the island and was just like, why are you not psychologically torturing these children to become super soldiers?
Much like JFG Gurpy, he was asking Epstein to help him fund his cloning project.
Yeah. He has a cloning facility. We mentioned it.
But then you have umbilical cables.
So most Ava units can only operate because they have these massive battery cells inside them. They can only operate for about 5 minutes. It's less if you're intense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unlike BattleTech, they don't have fusion engines.
Well, yes and no. We'll get into that. Do they talk about super solenoids? No, they don't. Okay. So, in most cases, that is correct. They don't. The conventional reactors are enough to keep them going for 5 minutes with the batteries they have inside them. Less if they're active, and less if they're damaged. The umbilical cables connect them to large nuclear reactors throughout the city that they're fighting in, and that gives them essential power, but it's also a critical weak point. It's often targeted by angels. The exceptions are there are a few, like Ava Unit 1, that got their hands on a super solenoid engine. What's a super solenoid engine? It's called it's bullshitium. That's what a super solenoid engine is.
Well, then we go to the creating of the Evangelion, and it operates similar to basic stat lines, functions more, I'd say, like armor, because the way armor works in Dark Heresy is when you bypass the armor value, you'll do wounds to that area.
So, unlike characters, Avas do not have a single pool of wounds. Instead, each section has its own pool of wounds, in addition to its own armor rating. So, you can take massive amounts of damage before you're under any risk.
So
If
unlike in Dark Heresy, where if you were able to do critical damage to a limb, you could outright kill somebody. In this case, it's only for the body and the head.
No, and even if it's the body and the head, that just basically means that it has to be dragged back to get repaired. As long as the core is
And they do.
intact, you can get it repaired. However, the pilot's not usually so lucky because you know that sync ratio that's really important. The higher your synchronization ratio, the more easy it is to pilot and the more smooth your motion and abilities with it are, right? But you're also neurologically connected to the machine. Guess what it feels like when you get your hand blown off in the mech?
Like your hand's
Pretty
blown off.
good.
Mm-hmm. Now here's the other thing. If your synchronization rates are high enough, you get what are called stigmata, wounds that reflect the damage your mech takes.
Get it? It's like the wounds that Christ's had.
If you've ever seen images of Asuka only having one eye because of a patch, it's because of something that happened to her in a battle.
Isn't this similar to religion?
This game could have an optional mechanic like Shadow Dark where you actually have a time limit in real life to perform action. You could. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Shadow Dark,
Now,
but it's a fine functional game.
now, here's something coming up I don't like, is that they give you tables for your color. Why?
Let's see.
And then you only have, you don't have pink.
Wow, yeah, they're not the most inspired.
What type of blue are we talking about? Light blue, dark blue,
Well, that's what the
Blue.
descriptors
neon
There's no
for.
blue?
blade.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, they have multiple colors in their color scheme. If these people play Warhammer, they should know that you're going to have more than one color. It's 3-color minimum.
Angel Arroyo wants a Society of Ether mage who built and pilot an Ava and just uses a live stream overlay to say it's a video game. I could see a Society of Ether doing it. Sons of Ether. It's usually called Sons of Ether, but I think was it Mage 20th that turned to Society? I don't remember.
It was talked about even before then,
Yeah.
of changing it to be less chauvinistic. But then we have the distinguishing features, which I think they're getting from the power armor rules.
Power Armor / Titan, I think a bit too.
Such as Machina Diabolus.
So the mech hates you.
You're convinced, yeah. Well, no, you're convinced it's trying to kill you. Then there's Redacted. Whatever their history was, it's been erased. A
Jeffrey
flagship.
Epstein.
Yep. A symbol of a national power or major corporation. Actually, no, the Redacted. No, it was the Baron Trump. Baron Trump would have been writing that.
Baron Trump's an Evangelion.
You see, well, actually, no. He grew so tall that he actually is his own Evangelion.
He's one of the fucking Nephilim.
You see
Distinguishing
his
feature.
brainless looking expression as it gets cut in half at the end of the world.
Mutation. Perverse anatomy. Everything about it is wrong in some way, and the strange qualities of its physiology make it inordinately difficult and disturbing to pilot. -5 to agility, but +2 to wounds. Because it's fat.
Interesting.
The beast.
Essentially, the Berserk trait is much worse. And also, the reason they get mutations are, have you seen what these fucking things look like? The armor is mostly to obscure how horrifying they look underneath.
It's cancer. It's increased artificial growth.
Also, here are some interesting souls that they can have.
Maternal. You feel safe with Neva. You know, very Freudian.
It also determines what type of Berserk type you have. Is that a trait for extra thick Ava? I mean, you could make them that way. I would also say they're just kind of visually disturbing.
We made this Ava out of Kim Kardashian.
I don't think you'd have enough silicone and animal fat to even get that way. You'd have to basically deplete entire beaches to make that much artificial flesh.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Berserk types, the Hunter, Cooperative, Supernatural, Savage, or Unyielding.
Also, yes, if you're curious, Evangelions are essentially angel clones that are the best way to describe them is giant-sized servitors made out of angel flesh with a little bit of human DNA thrown in.
It's bionicle, actually. It does fit.
It does.
Biological frame inside of a robot armor. A robotic armor.
Well, also robotic equipment is also just kind of like surgically thrown into it. It's
With some
basically
vague...
like a servitor or a lobotomite. Another good comparison is lobotomite from Old World Blues.
Or a super mutant inside armor. Yeah, it's Frank Horrigan. You're writing Frank Horrigan.
I'm unironically just envisioning the Ava
Your
opening its mouth. Time to die, Muty.
your ride's over, Angel. Name's
And
Frank
you see the
Horrigan.
operation. No,
United.
the operations director is like horrified because no. The best part is, remember, these things have human souls in them. So I'm just like, maybe it was a task force agent who got sucked into it. It could actually be Frank Horrigan speaking, like the
Or the
operative.
master.
Don't.
The unity. We will join the Avas. Join.
No, that would be the master fits more for the Magi system.
Yeah. But then we go into our upgrades, which can either be biological, structural, or weapon. In which we can get, and they're taking some of this as talents from Dark Heresy, like
which they do note from.
Or
they do tell you which.
Yeah. Different tiers.
I wonder if I should mention that there's an entire like mass grave filled with unfinished or just failed Ava projects. I'm not even kidding. There's like a mass grave filled with like failed build models.
Yeah, actually, Dama. Yeah, they're Daleks. They're fucking Daleks.
I'm just now envisioning all of a sudden an Ava unit goes berserk and pulls out a plunger. Where did you even get something like that? And then you just see one of the you see one of the bridge bunnies whistling, and you just kind of ignore that. Like, you see a little bit of like one of the classic runs of the Doctor in the background on their laptop.
Well, no.
Also, if you're wondering, that is a term. Bridge bunnies are the ones that are like part of the crew that basically does a lot of operations.
When you said
stuff.
plunger,
well, no. I was going to say that you see out of the corner of your eye a blue box just suddenly vanish.
I was a little worried there when you said plunger because I thought you were gonna make a fucking skippity toilet.
I don't think plungers are involved in skippity toilet. It's
I
just
don't know what this is, but it sounds disappointing.
Well, let's see some of the structural upgrades, loadouts for your weapons, being able to store a larger size weapon in the wing dock.
Oh, if you're wondering what N2 means, it means non-nuclear. because there's non-nuclear power plants, which essentially energy research has progressed quite a bit in the aftermath of the fucking apocalypse. And also because there was a World War III. That's the other reason there's so many dead. Because, yeah, there was a bit of a World War III for a little while.
After or before?
After. You know, the chaos of everything collapsing, a lot of people died in just,
Oh, yeah. I could imagine the refugee crisis just...
yeah. And on top of that, during that period, we invented what's known as the N2 weapon, which is a non-nuclear weapon that's basically even more explosive than Tsar Bomba. It's essentially the biggest goddamn explosion that we can make without supernatural nonsense. Also, almost completely unaffected. Also, completely stopped by AT fields, if they're strong enough.
Well, continuing to go through this, then we get the weapon upgrade points, which are...
Basically, these are just like ways you can customize your kit.
Yeah. Burning chain, titanium or diamond-tipped titanium chain, mounted weapons, masers, microwave lasers, positron, progressive weapons,
Oh yeah, prog weapons.
which means they want to advance society socially in an incremental way.
Yeah, prog weapons. The way they work is they're vibro blades, essentially.
Tesla.
Yeah, there's Tesla text. Tonfa, axe, flail. You can pick a lot of melee weapons.
Progressive knife Mark 1. Progressive knife Mark 2.
The reason there's a Mark II is because at one point they had to upgrade the knives because the angels were much harder to cut apart and kill.
Progressive sword Sonic guillotine. Oh, that's the spear thing that they have.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I thought it was just a spear.
Nope. And there's reasons it's designed that way. It's based on a certain device. Fuck it. It's based on the Spear of Longinus, which is a control mechanism that you can use on angels.
A Roman spear was able to control angels?
It's called that way because, again, so the reason they went biblical is, imagine you find a giant alien, a giant trapped alien that's like essentially way beyond you physically and powerful wise. Wouldn't you think that was some type of divine creature or entity?
Perhaps.
Especially since
But
it
I maybe
defies
would
physics and logic.
I would have maybe called it the Sword of Gabriel.
Well, it's called a Spear of Longinus because it looked like a spear. It's a long It's a long device. That is true. We need to know if we need to know if this allows you to have a penguin, a genetically modified penguin, because
Let's see.
Pen is a modified penguin.
You could have an axe, a flail, a great weapon.
Yeah, there's a lot of melee weapons. Like, the thing I care about is the ballistics, just because melee weapons, it's just transferred
Well,
over.
they give us ballistics and they give us art of the ballistics. And oh, is it wonderful two-dimensional art.
It's actually based on sketches from the show. Like, that's what they look
I
like
thought
from
this
the
was
show.
from DeviantArt.
It probably was, but they're based on weapons from the show. That's what they actually look like.
So what do we have here?
You got your pallet rifle, which is the bog standard rifle. It's a carbine. It basically, it's not that effective, but it's better than nothing. It's one of the first things they made.
Then you've got a hand cannon,
A big Gatling gun.
the P8 carbine, and a rocket rifle.
This is one of the few. Most of these weapons are not very effective against angels. They're very effective against conventional militaries, but angels not so much.
Yeah, one thing I am getting here, it doesn't really give us what's the size. I look at stuff. This
They're
looks
Ava scaled.
Yeah.
Ava units are usually at least 20 meters tall, so you're basically wielding automatic tank and heavy artillery cannons.
Oh, here's something. The Helios Annihilator. Laying flaming waste to entire swaths of land by bombarding every square inch with penetrating radiation.
So
Oh boy, the cancer gun.
it is literally a cancer gun. And the other thing I will say is that the reason this section is here is solely because this way they can just reuse the Melta stuff.
Hold on. I'll have to look up.
You know, we've been talking so much Evangelion. I forgot this was a patch from the old 40 cases.
Oh, I was thinking either this one or Ava Magius. I have Ava Magius, although that one
Let
is
me look.
much more tied to the show. Basically, there's more stations of canon, so I thought this was a little more interesting for you guys. But yeah, I do have an English translation of Ava Magius as well.
Well, it does look like here the Helios Annihilator does technically less damage than a standard Meltagun.
Well, I mean, it's not
One
perfectly, but the
1d10 plus
technology.
6 versus, and this is but second edition, but 2d10 plus 10 with a better penetration.
But yeah, those are maser weapons, and then there are what are called N2s, which are non-nuclear. Basically, they're only called non-nuclear because do you really want to make a show in Japan where you're just blasting things with atomic weapons repeatedly? They're called N2s, but basically these are nuclear weapons. They do that
The
much
Bohr gun,
damage.
the Planck gun, the Faraday. Yeah, really subtle on the naming there.
And these don't have any
Surprised they
art
didn't.
for
I'm
this.
surprised they didn't make an Oppenheimer weapon or a Fermi weapon.
I would have said Ulam rifle. Well, I never heard of Stanislaw Ulam, one of the people behind the Teller Ulam nuclear fusion weapon.
No.
It was the first fusion bomb that was ever designed.
We never made fusion energy.
Hydrogen bomb, I mean. It was the design used for the first hydrogen bomb.
Let's see. Then we got positron weapons.
Yeah, they have antimatter weapons. This is stuff
Yeah.
they cracked out when the conventional stuff didn't work. It's also very energy intensive. I don't remember if this is the equipment they use to fight Ramiel, but basically, this is the sort of stuff that requires the entire power grid of a city to fire.
And then we can get marker lights, guard plates, smoke launchers, melee attachment. Oh, so if I want on my mounted cannon, I want to put a little progressive knife on there.
You could. Well, I love
And then
Godzilla,
we,
but do you think you could get away with showing Tokyo 3
well,
getting nuked in the first episode?
do remember, it was an allegory for the devastating impact of nuclear weapons.
Like it already had to be censored because originally the first attack that Shamshiel, I think it was Shamshiel that was the first guy, the angel legitimately shat out crucifix explosions.
That had to be censored in Japan?
That had to be censored here in the West.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because America's a bunch of pussy.
Well, it's the 90s. Tipper Gore would have been after you in a heartbeat.
New Horizons, sync ratio, sync disruption. This is the anti-terror. This is the territory
This
field.
is the sync. So, depending on your current sync ratio, the following can apply. If it's 20 or less, unable to pilot. 21 to 35, single half action each round with the Evangelion. If you're from 36 to 80, operates normally. 81 to 100, you may use your sync rating in if you would want to re-roll a test.
You also can spend fate points, and if you go
Well,
over
no,
100,
no. If you spend a fate point to re-roll, you use that in place. And remember, if this is at 100, that's automatic, unless there's any penalties.
Acura opened up with an explosion, but it wasn't nuclear, if I remember right. I think it was like his psychic powers activating.
it's still, this is again, they had to censor the names of the fat man in Fallout.
Sync
Because
ratio of over 100 as above, but your sync ratio is dangerously high and deals 1d10 points of ego barrier damage each round. Should you pass out or die in the entry plug, the Ava unit automatically berserks. Your feedback threshold is considered 0. If you go over this somehow, because it can happen, you take 1d10 plus 5 points of ego barrier damage instead. Any critical damage suffered by the Ava unit is dealt to wounds to you, aka the stigmata effect I mentioned. Yes, at one point, Asuka gets stabbed in the head. That's how she lost her eye.
201 plus, 1d10 plus 10 ego barrier.
Usually this
And
is
the
where you
GM decides
dissolve
what
into the
happens after
suit.
this. 400 plus. The Magi have yet to yield a predictive model for what happens at this point. It is a matter of great debate amongst the science team.
Yeah, if you go over 200, Shinji actually achieved that at one point. He dissolved into Tang. He got better, but it's not good.
Sync disruption. Every time you gain insanity points or remove points from the ego barrier, the sync ratio change. If either die roll of a 2d10 is 0, roll an extra 1d10 and add it to the previous sum. And continue that as long as you keep rolling zeros. Once they're all rolled, find your total. If the total sum is an odd number, the pilot loses that much from their SR until the end of the battle. If it's an even, you temporarily gain that much.
Which can lead to, because it's exploding dice.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we're playing it. I'm sorry, Imp. You somehow managed to go over 500 because you kept rolling an extra d10. I don't
It's
know how you
over
did it.
9. It's over 9,000!
I don't think you even exist as a concept anymore.
I am all concepts. I am the false dreamer now.
You achieved Chim. You've achieved
No,
Chim and left as the Dwemer did.
no, you don't achieve. You become the false dreamer, the Sharmat. You try to become the dream itself rather than recognizing that you are part of the dream and not of it. You turn into Dagoth Ur is what I'm saying.
You come out of it with the mask inexplicably. You didn't like for
Oh,
whatever.
Shinji, look upon the heart.
Come, Ikari, come and witness. Is this how you mourn? Is this how you mourn the branch? Is this how you honor the branch unmourned? Oh God, I'm just now envisioning. Okay, so here's the thing that happened in Evangelion. There was a test facility in Arizona because there's NERV branches around the world, right? And the America branch was working on a unit. Spontaneously, they were testing something that caused it to essentially leave reality or something. So what you could do as a shitpost, if you really wanted to, you could do Morrowind or Old World Blues in the crater remnants of that research facility,
Well,
with Dagoth Ur
well,
being the pilot. Come, Ikari, come.
well. Do remember, all in all, did have references to Evangelion in his series before he threw a hissy fit and decided to private all of his videos of Elder Scrolls, like a loser.
You have come to witness the fruit of life. Like, you just replace the heart of Lorcan with the fruit of life. Because if you're wondering, the reason angels are the way they are is they are inheritors of the fruit of life. We inherited the fruit of knowledge. That's why the angels are so bullshittedly powerful. But on the other hand, that's why we're able to think of things and have realities and thoughts. We picked brain over brawn, essentially.
Yep. And then the fate system, kind of they could use fate to heal wounds, but they can't use them to heal the Evangelion.
You can also use it to survive, but it's handled differently. In Dark Heresy, it's
Yep.
accepted that the GM may use this opportunity to further cripple the character. A character that has burned fate to survive an explosion might still lose a leg, blah, blah, blah. In Adeptus Evangelion, it's best played with the characters that are less disposable than Dark Heresy. So play a bit less roughly with your toys.
Also, first of all, the game, you're not playing as the main character. You're basically replacing them, I'd say.
I'm sorry. I'm just the mental image of like an Ava, like a test pilot for Ava Unit 4, just being Dagoth error. And I don't know, spreading the equivalent of the Culpris
Why am I?
virus.
What is going on here? Did the did that Talos god truly reinvent the world, or is this another trick of Vivek? Wait, you say I'm a video game character? What do you mean I was invented in a drug-fueled haze?
You say that I'm from a false reality, that I'm a that I am of a fake dream. Then I must have achieved Chim. I have achieved self-awareness and have followed the Dwemer. Where are they, son of man?
Where are the ancient peoples who had much ancient wisdom then vanished? You say that they lived in a land called Israel. Hmm.
You need to
No, no,
stop
they had
doing that.
long ears, not big noses. I don't know what you're getting at here. No, I am not anti-Semitic. What do you mean?
Why do they wear small hats? I do not understand. Why do you accuse me of calling them that? Those are your words, not mine. But yeah, ego barriers. So
Why do you why are all of your Khajiits small, but you have a moon? Do you need another one?
ego barriers. Each character begins play with an ego barrier. Not everyone has the same mental strength and sense of self, and some are more vulnerable than others. Ego barrier is equal to 20 plus your willpower bonus times 5. As they become exposed to hostile AT fields and other more insidious forms of attack, you remove points off their ego barrier. It works like wounds, except upon reaching an ego barrier of 0, you instantly turn into LCL. You get tanged. The ego
And
barrier is a natural
remember,
part of the psyche.
if you have an SR of over what was it, 100, you get 1d10 points of damage. Was that every turn?
Hmm.
Yes, every round. Which means if your willpower bonus is, let's say, 4, then that's just 40. That's just 4 turns you have,
And then you turn, and then you disappear. You scream
and
and
then
turn into goo.
yep. Thankfully, threats are far in between.
Fetch to your ego.
Oversinking, direct contact with an angel, mental contact with an angel. But then there's ways to pull yourself together, and I have no idea what Ray's doing there.
The reason she looks like that is she's infected by Armai Sayal.
So, um, however, you can reconstitute yourself after dissolving.
Yes, you can.
It's a fate point and a willpower test at -10. But then something changes about you,
Yep, and these are you can get ideals or complication.
aka mutation. And then time management, also known as what to do when you're not fighting.
Here they are failing school.
Physical training, combat training, education, hobbies, and I am sorry, Adeptus Evangelion writers from years ago, the fact that you did not put a Warhammer reference in there is a mark of shame.
Yeah, I don't know. Inspired by
You
a
say
fan
card
fiction.
games and building model trains.
The weirdest part is
Shame on
they
you.
should have had minis because they were inspired by it. Why the hell?
Shame on you.
Also, if you're wondering, I think this is a slight reference to the
Actually,
Raising Ayanami Ray project, which was
yeah, could
so
be.
there is a Princess Maker spin-off that's based for Evangelion, where you take Ray and try to make her more human.
I mean, there is a little bit of I guess, a benefit to doing a hobby. You regenerate 20 ego instead of 10.
Yeah, because you're reforming your reality.
And social interaction.
Social activity.
But that only increases your fellowship characteristic by 1, which, I don't know if that's beneficial. Might
Can
be in
help.
combat, but Why would you do that and instead obsess over model trains? But then, absolute territory. And they do bring up, don't you mean absolute terror? No. In the series, the commonly mentioned AT fields are never actually explained, and their full name only comes from a brief clip in the opening credits. Fields are tangible psychosomatic barriers that define and maintain individuality.
Yeah, with them, you know loneliness and pain because you're not connected. Without them, you just turn into slop, and your soul flies out and goes into what's called the doors of Goof.
You
G-U-F.
mean guff?
Guff. Doors of Guff.
That has to be it's the Hebrew word that just means body.
Mm-hmm.
The Chamber of Guff is located in the Treasury of Souls in seventh heaven.
Yeah, you go there.
I'm sorry, we have a seventh heaven?
You basically the soul leaves the body and may or may not go to an extra-dimensional place. And we know that souls exist because we've done horrifying experiments involving them. Did you know that we found out souls are divisible? As in, you can
No.
splice a soul and cut it apart. It doesn't go well, but you can do it.
Apparently Gabriel's the one that takes the souls. Every human soul is just a fragment cycling out of the great world soul of Adam Kadam. Adam Kadam, God's original intention for humanity, a supernal being, androgynous and macrocosmic.
And yeah, nothing has changed from the original material aside from the name. Should you find it irksome, there's nothing to prevent you from resurrecting the absolute terror field definition in your campaign. It's a matter of personal preference. So I was right, but it was redefined because it makes more sense to use it as territory. Because it's the boundaries between what makes you you and what makes other. The mechanics. In New Horizons, we introduced the new characteristic known as sync ratio, or SR for short. This characteristic is used for determining absolute territory field strength for the pilots of an AVA unit. Their maximum ATS is equal to the sync ratio bonus. At the beginning of the battle, it's usually 0, and only by spreading AT field, a free action, but one that must be declared, can you gain it. Breach. As long as you have a spread pattern selected, you can gain a corresponding level of deflect. Basically, this gives you extra armor, if you're curious.
Against the weird psychic angel powers.
Mm-hmm. And it allows you to either have just an ATS or 5 deflection. Some of the powers include reading the fields because you can actually detect that sort of stuff. You can augment it. By the way, with a powerful enough AT field, you can actually see it. It's usually in geometric shapes. And there's ways, basically, these are some of the interesting stuff you can do with
Yeah,
it.
your different patterns, accelerated, bunker, deflective, layered, and then the powers you can get from this. More psychic powers. Like the augment, yeah, that's adding more to this psychic power.
You get some interesting stuff. You can also wrap beams. Here's a neat one. Dirac C powers. Essentially,
Iraxi?
so this is something that can happen. So the Dirac C, essentially, you can warp space-time. You can warp space-time to enter other dimensions. In one such case, you can enter what's called the Dirac C, which is an antimatter pocket dimension.
Oh, you're just opening up. I don't say that's the warp, that's just antimatter.
Well, you can also enter into other dimensions randomly.
So you could put Dagothar in your game.
You could, hypothetically. It's not that type of dimension. Basically, you can transcend the third dimension and start dealing with stuff like with string theory or fifth dimensional bullshit.
So we can go to the and save the monkey man in the 8th dimension.
Unironically, if you wanted to, as a shitpost, have the final angel just shit out a giant monkey man from the 9th dimension, it'd be fine. I mean, it wouldn't be any weirder than some of the angels already.
Yep. Speaking of which, we can move from this directly into how do you do combat?
I'm just because the Direct C stuff is pretty neat because again, it's another dimension shit. It's really weird. But yeah, combat. Here we go.
So first thing,
That tank is dead.
detecting.
Those tanks are all dead, by the way. Military literally can't do shit to angels other than slow them down a bit.
You know what's funny? So this report is apparently done in 2015, and he's somehow perfectly fine with calling them Japs.
Yeah.
Those old World War II movies where the Japs and the Nazis do an air raid. Yeah,
The military,
we
well,
have
the military tend to be kind of assholes in the series.
yeah, but we have
Everyone's an
well, not
asshole.
but we have progressive knives.
Well,
Shouldn't
yeah,
we?
it's progressive in that it doesn't matter where you stick it; it's gonna kill you.
Huh? So first things first, where do we detect the angels? Because they could just come from anywhere. Are they on a D100? 1D10 is ocean, on land, or 100 inside the geofront,
That has happened a couple of times.
which is directly able to attack NERV HQ.
Yeah, it's
The
not good.
idea of a defense line does not apply.
And here's how you take out angels. You have to breach the AT field. You have to disable the angel. It helps. And then the key aspect is destroying the core.
The
Most
juicy
angels have
red
a
sphere.
yeah. Most angels have what's a spherical core. They work like a more timely version, I guess, or dated version would be they kind of work like the gems from Steven Universe.
Hmm.
In that the core is really the essence of their being.
So we don't need Shinji. We just need a fat boy to sing at them.
You just need a fat boy to cry at them a lot, and it'll also do the same thing. I mean, in fairness, Shinji also cries a lot, kind of.
Yeah, that's why I added the singing.
Sure.
So you can then have defense lines. If you do, they'll be able to perhaps delay the angel from coming right up your ass.
How many dozens of UN troopers do you want to die for you? That's what that means. There's a reason why by the end of the series, the military stormed NERV and started shooting everyone.
Oh yeah, here. My company's casualty rate is 108%. Of the 80 men I'm responsible for, 3 of them were here when we started this mess. And I found out that while we're getting slaughtered there, we're buying time for these goddamn robots. Your kids are having little bitch fits about getting up early and having the wrong goddamn clothes. Every second of these engagements, I'm losing men, so these little shits can have a goddamn cry about their oh so hard lives. Well, I'll tell you what, the next time you send us out to die, those kids better be ready to go. And if they ain't, you can bet your goddamn life I'll rectify the hell out of that problem.
What did he mean by this? Oh, why does he have a gun? Oh no!
Biggs, you have anything to add? Oh no, I think his synchronicity's gone up.
No, his ego barrier's gone. He's turned into Tang. Shit, we're gonna have to put him back in the dummy plug. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate. Many such cases. It's sad.
Let's see. So you'll have a though when your kid finally gets into the goddamn robot, you'll be able to launch. If the Magi have their supercomputer systems analysis, they'll be able to analyze the angel's structure and help you.
Which can be very very useful because here's the thing. All right, if you're gonna run an Ava game, you don't want them to know how the angel works because
They
most of
gotta
the
figure it
angels
out.
have a gimmick. For example,
Adam, I have a question.
you
Oh, he's back.
reconstituted.
Yeah, I've just been here. I had nothing relevant to say because I'm a very boring man. But in all seriousness, stopping me just from using Mechaton Zeta over this.
This one's pretty much coded for Evangelion, while Mechaton Zeta is more of a Gundam thing.
I think it would have to do with the
Gundam slash Mazinger Z.
D100 and the sort of structural.
Also,
or
I
the
will
yeah
say that I would say
the psychological component.
this is a personal thing. Well, psychological, but personally, I feel like the insanity mechanics that exist in the percentile systems, because this in a way is a little bit like Call of Cthulhu, that's better. And I have a soft spot for percentile systems. I don't know if I could call them the best system because there's a lot of options for what would be called the best system out there, but
It's
percentiles are really good.
I think it's that when you see a percentile, you know automatically, okay, if it's a 60, I have a 60% chance, rather than a D20 where you kind of have to abstract
Well, no,
and do a little
it's
bit
like, do
more
I
math.
target number? Do I have to subtract results, or do I have to work with THACO, which is the devil? What do I got to do with this?
But
And with
speaking of
dice pool, you got to go. Okay, so that's a hit, 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 hit. Okay, how many hits did I need? This you just know.
speaking of speaking of the devil, though, you might have to fight this thing under the water.
Yeah, and you're not very good at that since you're not gonna have access to things like you know umbilicals.
Arr, I'll be doing the Byford dolphin experiment with my AT field, just imploding. Seriously, you get the crushing pressure, and unlike divers that have to do that, you're not staying there for 28 days.
I'm just envisioning this shit child making an inverse Dirac Sea to basically antimatter bomb the tentacle angel underneath the aircraft carrier. It causes a cavitation bubble that instantly cracks cracks the hull and keel, causing it to sink in 20 minutes, killing like 90% of the fucking staff.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty yeah, I'm pretty sure
You,
if
you
you're
think
fighting
I'm
this
kidding,
underwater,
but by the end of the fight with Gagiel, like half of the United Nations Pacific Fleet was fucking destroyed or badly damaged. And it was kind of a miracle that the USS Over the Rainbow, and it was called that specifically because it legitimately survived the storms that were caused by second impact. It basically survived rogue waves, the Dead Sea. Like, it basically went through its own odyssey of hell before it made it back to port in San Francisco. That's why it got renamed Over the Rainbow. It basically fucking survived shit it shouldn't.
I
But
personally
even
make a
it was
comment
fucked up.
of
Its bridge
Traveler
was
maybe
badly
being a good
damaged.
system for Ava. Maybe.
Traveler could work. I
It,
personally think Mechaton Zeta would be a better option, personally, if you don't want to use Dark Heresy.
but we're getting more into the combat of uh first of all, when you have to fight an angel, you automatically succumb to fear.
Yeah, because it's another worldly abomination.
Though speaking of this, you know what system might be good? Riffs.
Yeah, because of mega damage abstraction. Also Star Wars West End, because remember they have scaled weapons. That would also work.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, Dave. Your character was shot by a pallet rifle, and you're a human, and you were in a tank. You decided to try to kill these children because you're sick of their angst. You
So
should just
then you
take
have
this much mega
then you
damage.
have the angelic shock table, which is I'm gonna get out my Dark Heresy book again and see if this matches literally what's in here.
If not, my favorite one is just when you go. This reminds me of the alien fear mechanics. If you get over 130, your character just suffers a permanent case of escapism and becomes catatonic until the end of combat. They are effectively defeated. They gain 1d10 plus 4 insanity and will likely
Uh,
have deep-seated trauma relating to this experience for the rest of their life.
yeah, pretty much. Like the first thing being able to only do a half action, then a -10 to tests, uh, until they snap out. Uh, some of this is more like the literally the third one, avoid entering melee combat. Yeah, that's different from what's in the book.
No holds bar, Evangelion scale and grappling. Angels pilots face are powerful, but generally attack only once at a time. Dark Heresy roleplay system forms an excellent. Basically, it's justifying why they used it. Towering Inferno, Evangelion scale and being on fire.
May attempt to put out the fire on one body location by spending a half action to roll an agility test.
As for defeat, when an Evangelion's taken sufficient damage to the head or body, it's defeated. While on occasions an Eva unit might continue fighting, it still means that it usually can't. You also have to roll
Also,
on the trauma table.
if I'm reading this right for the defeat section, they have a grief counselor.
They never fucking used it in the show, I can tell you that much.
Or maybe they did.
Also, wait, Cthulhu
I'm gonna,
Tech is a thing. Yeah, and I don't like Cthulhu Tech.
Yeah,
you
Cthulhu
know,
wouldn't fit with
everyone
this.
makes a joke about therapist and Evangelion. Buddy, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even think a team can fix those fuckers.
I'm just
They all probably died too in the explosions.
I'm just actually envisioning the therapist gets hired on, where it's like the therapist gets hired on their first day. By the end of it, it just cuts to them in a mountain of beer cans, just like they're just in a drinking contest with Masato, and theirs is somehow bigger, and they look like they're about to die.
So, however, when you are defeated, your entry plug gets launched.
Which can, by the way, kill you hypothetically.
Unless you roll a... Well, actually, only if you roll a 91 to 100. It's safe from harm. Everything else damages you.
Oh no, no well yeah, wow,
They
that's
then
bad.
they then also give the ability to do a tactical map.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just trying to move on a little bit. N2 mines, non-nuclear. It's the UN's WMD of choice, and yeah, that's totally non-nuclear. You only see a fucking mushroom cloud with
No,
hypersonic.
it's an antimatter bomb. It's a
Yeah,
antimatter mushroom.
essentially, yeah, we cracked antimatter, and that's what an N2 mine is. It does 20 E damage to all things without an AT field within 100 DAM radius, and 2d10 damage to anything within 2 kilometers. The shockwave often deals minor damages to things outside of that. Regardless of where on Earth you deploy this fucking thing, 1d10 plus 4 collateral damage results from the cost of cleanup. Because
Ooh.
that's the other
And that
thing.
brings...
After you put that angel down, you also have to spend money to fix what the fuck you
I
broke.
like this here. Collateral damage. Colonel Adrian Hertz, operating director of NERV's 5th branch, stormed out of a hearing session at the International Criminal Court after refusing to elaborate on his claimed justification of activating what he called an anti-AT field over the city of Guangzhou, knowing it had not been evacuated, attacking the judges and the prosecutor
Guangzhou,
for
yeah.
flaunting their legalist fetishism in the face of what he claimed to be a pending apocalypse.
So the reason why this is why this guy is getting crucified on that, it dissolves AT fields. Humans have weak ones already. He basically low-key killed everyone in that city. All of
Even if
them
they were
got
in a
turned into
bunker.
Tang. They're all dead. All of them are dead, and they have entered Guff.
The fact that we can't even properly explain what happened to the general public without setting off mass hysteria will also mean that the UN is going to get a whole lot of hate pretty soon. But considering what happened, had the angel been allowed to achieve apotheosis, I would call this a total and complete victory.
I call this an absolute
25,000
victory.
casualties and rising. Surplus funds and cash. So,
By the way,
based on the total collateral that you do...
no, here's the thing. Getting over 10, like 11 to 15, that's still considered very successful.
And let's see, what's a point collateral damage? Whenever a weapon is fired at full auto, unless all shots hit the target and the target did not dodge, you just suffer 1 point of collateral damage. Yeah, this is going to you're gonna get like a mirror. Critical. Oh, we do get the critical Evangelion effects.
Yeah, every
When you
critical
suffer
you
critical
get.
damage. Now this is the critical damage table where it's just what happens, for instance, to your arm.
No, I want to read a couple of the head ones. The contents of the head explode upwards from the buildup of heat, gore raining down from atop a pillar of misted blood over the next few seconds. The Evangelion is defeated, and the pilot must test toughness or deal with the torture of losing their head in a visceral way. Upon failure, they take 1d10 insanity. On success, they take only 1d5.
Yeah.
As above, but the pilot must make a fear test as they desperately paw at their own head to make sure it's still there.
10. As above, but the attack power of the head did not offer enough resistance to sate its fury. Indeed, the superhuman shrapnel that was once a skull may have added to its lethality.
Fantastic.
An additional attack may be rolled using the attacker's BS minus 10 against a single target within a 10 damage cone behind the Evangelion, dealing 1d10 energy plus the amount by which the original attack exceeded 10 critical damage.
I love these descriptions. Here's one. For critical damage, these are energy. The radiation is fully seared off the limb at the shoulder, and the flaming limb falls to the ground at the unit's feet. The pilot is stunned for 1 round and gains 1d5 insanity point from the pain.
With the leg, if you get 10 plus, as above, but the pilot is now all but sure their own leg is on fire.
Fantastic. Here's impact
results. That's energy. That's energy. Then there's impact.
Oh, here we go. At 7, the head splits open, exposing things that anyone not considered morbid would prefer not to see. The pilot takes 1d10 insanity from the horrifying sensation. Then at 8, it's flattened and compacted by force, as blood and other liquefied viscera seeps from all of its orifices, leaving it defeated. You gain 1d5. As above, but the skull is hit with such force that the Evangelion's entire spinal column rips out of its back. And finally, the head is crushed and pulverized instantaneously, leaving naught but a smattering of unidentifiable gore over the remains of its neck.
You can imagine this.
With a terrible and wet ripping noise, the arm is torn from the body, falling next to the Evangelion.
And then there's the explosive damage.
I always love these critical charts for Dark Heresy. Yeah. These are fucking great.
There's explosive, and then there's rending. Well, I like the rending for head 9. The Evangelion is neatly decapitated. The head that was ripped off, flying away and hitting the ground 2d10 away, with a dumbfounded expression on its face.
That is copied directly from Dark Heresy. That is verbatim copied. It just changed Evangelion, but I love these tables. Blood beads like a necklace along the line of the collar. The Eva unit gurgles as it stumbles forward, 1d5 DAM. At this point, its head slides off, falling to its knees and tumbling down. The pilot gains an amount of insanity equal to the amount of critical damage which exceeded 10.
Actually, no, I'm reading it, or at least the second edition. It does not have that facial expression.
This is why Dark Heresy. That is correct, Percival. Here's the operations director.
Yep, the operations director.
So the good news is they tried to make Misato look professional. The bad news is, as a shitpost, I would have used the image she gave to Shinji, where it's her leaning over on the beach.
I thought operations director was going to be the GM. No, it's its own career.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone wants to play a pilot. This is what you can do here. You can play a member of the OD and the bridge bunnies. If you're wondering what those guys are, what they do is they coordinate information and basically relay stuff to stuff that is not the pilots, or to the pilots perhaps. Operations Director is a unique position of power that can be granted to the player as a special non-pilot career. In short, the OD is the undisputed leader of the party. While pilots are assumed to be teenagers, the OD is an experienced military commander whose job it is to lead pilots to victory.
Yeah, I'm going through a little bit of this because it's just more character creation, but I do like here page 206.
There's Kaji fucking with Masato.
there's that the operations director provides a focus for information and command authority. So the operations director is the one who is able to relay to your pilots their tactical information.
Well, yeah, you basically always have them on call as long as they have access to power. Or there are angels that can fuck with this, by the way, that can mess with communications.
Though the other thing I like this is it allows you to offload some of the responsibility that would come to a GM on your operations director. Like, just to give an example, if you're fighting an orbital angel and there's an operations director, the pilots will look to the GM for the plan of attack. Instead, you can now just literally give it through the operations director.
Well, I think we've accidentally triggered Percival's thirst over Misato Katsuragi. But yeah, I mean, you might be able to. I will say that it's probably not a good sign that Misato never got out of the second rank. She only made it to major. Yes,
Though,
the translation is very accurate, Ossel. That is a very accurate translation for what the OD is. You are essentially the forced parent to these shit children. And you just kind of stare in eternal horror.
they then give us stats for conventional forces.
Which their stats basically are: do you want to die like a frog in a blender? Here you go.
For various
Do you wish to die
VTOLs.
horribly? Here's how you can die in a VTOL. Here's how you can die. Here's how you can burn alive in a
They
tank.
they do give us more like base of operations.
Oh, they also talk about the bridge. This is so the operations director is almost never takes to the field. Bridge personnel are worth reiterating. Operations director is going to be spending a lot of time on the bridge, which means the bridge needs to feel like a real and important place. The bridge personnel, also known as bridge bunnies, into full-fledged NPCs, or alternatively, a weird way you could play this. This is a weird idea, but hear me out. All bridge party, where one of you is the operations director, one of you, some of you are bridge technicians, and one of you plays Ritzko as the science director. And your job is to basically wrangle these feral cats you call your pilots into being semi-functional, or at the very least aiming them at the enemy.
I think this is where something like Traveler might work better.
It would, but it'd be fun.
So yeah, the rest of the book here seems to be giving us more of how to manage a base and a lot more of the stuff that
It's a
would now
different
be
play
focused.
style than just if you don't want to get into the robot, if you don't want to get into the goddamn robot, you can play base of operations, which is fine.
And it's a lot more resource management.
And they give examples of the type of base of operations, which they use examples of Geofront and the different types of NERV. There are many NERV facilities. The one you typically see is the original NERV, which is in Tokyo 3. There was NERV 1 in Boston. There's NERV 2 that was in Nevada. That's the one that basically gets destroyed by testing a secret weapon. And then there's NERV Germany, which is where Asuka was. Shadow over NERV. NERV bases isolate. Basically, these are traits that these have, what type of resources they got.
Didn't you say Arizona was one too?
Yeah, Arizona. Canonically, there was a base in Arizona. Ava Unit 4 was being tested there, and they were working on a new energy system for it. The problem was it basically,
it cascade resonanced.
Cascaded resonance into essentially a micro black hole that then proceeded to Hawking radiate itself into a white hole to eject all the matter that it absorbed, creating a giant fuck-off crater.
You know what happened to it, right? It opened up a portal to another universe and it went into the Super Robot Wars.
That is one option. The other option is that's just where Takeoff Ur is now. Red Mountain has been moved over there now.
That's what caused the Red Mountain incident. Also, Percival, yeah, it kind of would be like the Star Trek bridge.
You could definitely do that. Actually, Traveler, you could use Traveler to do a classic Star Trek if you didn't feel like using the original Star Trek game.
And actually, you know what? That actually would be interesting is you have two games running at the same time, Pilot and Bridge Crew.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. What type of roleplay Otaku would do in an Eva RPG? What they would try to do is they try to get the operations director or the hot scientist lady shittered so that they can smash. They would turn it into like the world's worst Otome game. That's what it would turn into.
So then,
Oh man, they're using the. Oh god, that's young Gendo. Cover for me, by the way.
all right. So
Oh,
while Adam's dealing with probably second impact, I'm actually reading through here on the world lore. They do have the end section talk about what happened in the world, which I do like. So explaining when exactly this incident took place, September 13th, 2000. Uh, Massive tidal waves radiated out of the former continent of Antarctica, smashing entire cities to splinters, destroying South America, Africa, and Australia. The tsunamis reached as far as the British Isles, and pretty much every city in the Northern Hemisphere experienced destructive flash flooding. Then Yosemite erupted. Or no, sorry, Yellowstone. Yellowstone erupted.
gotta love the apocalypse, people.
Now we should all be dead. But let's see. India and Pakistan went to war, nuclear weapons. Pakistan struck
Good.
first, interesting enough. Tokyo won, and London were destroyed within the first 10 days. Apparently, South America and Africa went to war within their own country or within their own region. U.S. and Canada forms a desperate alliance. Russia reclaims its satellite nations. Um,
So this is how Putin can win the. This is how Putin can win the
yeah.
Ukraine war.
Who do you think caused the incident?
Oh,
So let's see. England, France, Germany turned over their military forces to the United Nations. Russia secured the UN's guarantee that these new territories would not be touched. Joined the group. The United States, while previously opposing UN intervention in South America for nationalistic reasons, eventually admitted that it lacked the resources to handle the South American problem on its own and joined as well.
What's going on?
I'm just going over the lore.
Oh, well, I was also showing. So if you're wondering what this image is of these three, that's a young Gendo, and he looks like a dork. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. So, interesting enough, after 15 years, 22% of South America, 49% of Africa, and 12% of Australia have undergone anything approaching reconstruction. India and Pakistan are just gone.
Yeah, one of the things that happened was a nuclear exchange, I think, between the two.
Brazil, Chile gone, Paraguay and Uruguay are submerged.
Southern cone is basically dead. The ecological damage, Antarctica and the Southern Ocean is completely. There's no life there anymore.
you know, so far this universe
Japan
doesn't
is
seem all
just
that bad.
Central America is now just a desert. North America experiences large rainfalls, and Japan's in its summer, eternal summer.
Yep. Oh, and also another thing is Canada and the U.S. are technically two different countries, but they serve as one effectively just because of how much damage that occurred. Because here's the thing: Yellowstone erupted due to second impact.
And understand this. This would have happened in 2000. So this is George Bush. This is the George Bush presidency. Refugees.
Are you saying George Bush got second impact?
No, but I could imagine him being like, "Fool me once, angels. Fool me twice. Fool me 3 times. We're gonna defeat these angels. Now watch this drive." But Mexico floods the United States, which that's not too different than that was before. Hey.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty similar.
Well, no, in this case, it would literally be massive refugees.
Well,
Like-
not only that, but they locked them a lot into camps.
Yeah, from productive American cities and towns. Hey, we have these old camps here that we used about like 70 years ago for the Japanese.
You're joking, but here's what happened. They put them onto essentially reservations and then used them to rebuild their industries because they were
We
cheap
used them
labor.
as slave labor.
Little
Effectively.
Jorge.
22% of the population is unemployed.
That's considered good, by the way, in this setting.
Yeah, in Canada, it's become a wet marshland.
Yeah, it's fucked
But-
too.
Well, no, massive food exports. Except for the Yellowstone ash cloud.
This really is a George Bush dream. All the Jeets are dead. You have Mexican slave labor.
Now, funnily enough, Russia actually handled this better. But that's because it was in such horrible shape and so far away from the main damage points. It kind of just survived by doing nothing.
What parts did they take?
They've basically regained parts of Central Asia, but the problem was then the climate began kicking their ass.
And Eastern Europe.
They're pretty much cooked.
Yeah.
Their food
The Chinese
importers,
Federation. Perhaps unfortunately, much of the Chinese military remained intact after the initial destruction, and many of their neighboring countries fell into chaos. So they annexed North Korea. They basically just annexed South Asia. Just all of South Asia is gone.
Yep.
Or take it.
Who's gonna stop them? The Angels?
The Chinese did blow up Tokyo.
They did. They did destroy what was left of the original Tokyo. However, they also had a democratic revolution.
Can you tell this was written by
Yay.
Japanese people?
It actually wasn't. These were written by people. These were actually written by other people.
This isn't like a.
Some of this is Hideaki Anno backstory, but a lot of this is also kind of like devised based on info, I think. Because they don't really talk about Russia. They don't really talk about China all that much. Yeah. It's mostly because most of its focus is on Tokyo 3.
China, though, is the manufacturer of most NERV weaponry.
Yep.
And the so this actually explains the Valentine Treaty would have given the United Nations much more stronger authority.
Mainly because most of the rich families that survived essentially bought votes until this happened. Yeah.
And then Japan.
Fucked. It's
Tokyo
pretty
2.
Fucked. Yeah, there are actually 3 Tokyos. The original Tokyo is underwater. Tokyo 2 is where
they moved
remnants of Osaka is.
Yeah.
And then Tokyo 3 was moved to the Tokai area.
England. Royal family's dead.
Yeah, they're all dead.
But then the acting prime minister was appointed who prepared the country for a massive war effort. Now, who do you think that would have been?
Tony Blair. It was Tony Blair at the time.
No. The current prime minister would have been dead. So who would be the acting prime minister?
Hell if I know. I don't
know.
Goes
to Winston Churchill.
Reconstruction of the British Navy.
Who's a rando from the Labour Party that would have been in the government that might have survived? It's that guy or girl. I don't know. It's Britain.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Don't care. It's Corbyn. Yeah, let's just say it's Corbyn. Screw it. It's Corbyn.
Germany. Let's see.
Germany survived it somewhat well. The Russians tried to expand, but Germany stopped them. And then when the climate shifted,
France.
France did pretty well. It became the wealthiest country in Europe.
Oh, France absorbed Spain.
Yes, it did. That's not going
Napoleon
to work well.
has won again.
I am going
many
to,
anti-French revolutionaries.
Have many ulcers. There is a civil war.
Though they are unlikely to admit it, the quality of life in Spain has increased since its purchase.
What did the creators of this book mean by
that? Tasmania, UN naval facility, the Middle East. A region of turmoil throughout most of human history, it brought resounding closure to the region after the second impact.
Here's something that's relevant to you. In this case,
Samson option!
yeah.
Hala, Nagila, hala!
There
Oh,
we
it turns out
go.
Iran had chemical weapons.
Yep.
So everyone was wrong. It wasn't Iraq, it was Iran.
Here's
Oh,
the
Israel
thing.
did not
Israel did not
survive.
survive, but it took down all of its Arabic neighbors and Iran in its death throes. Because it just
L'chaim.
shoved so many nukes down their throats that the entire area is an irradiated wasteland.
I mean, honestly, if that came to, yeah.
The only survivors are Turkey, Egypt to a lesser degree since they were on good
And
terms,
Saudi Arabia.
and the Arabians because they were too far away.
Central America.
It's mostly just naval bases.
All
and
the
it's a
islands are
nightmare.
dead.
Yeah.
So, actually, a positive outcome for Haiti.
You think they have a nerve base in Jaburo?
I mean, if you wanted to do,
Yeah.
you wanted to do like NERV 5 in Brazil and call it Jaburo Base, like what happens is you have a mecha fan, reading Gundam, and just nickname it Jaburo as a joke. That could be funny. No, that actually sounds really funny. You can even call the bridge like White Base.
60% of Australia's population died within the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
I hope those were all the Aboriginals.
New Zealand survived, though,
Barely.
by a handful of
My God.
high-altitude subsistence farmers.
South
However, in
America
the coming
is
weeks,
cooked.
great flotillas of rafts from desperate island survivors stormed the Australian shores in the hope of finding food or aid, leading to 40 million new residents.
It was the bloodiest war that occurred during Second Impact.
As the remaining Australians fought tooth and nail for every
I'm
inch
just
of
moving on
land.
because like we've been at this for a while, so.
South America gone, Africa.
Well, not only that, but like the entire southern cone sunk.
Yeah, Niger's. Yeah, Niger. Well, it's divided between Niger.
The Niger line, a poorly defined border that stretches across Africa. Yeah, the two pseudo-states have no discernible
It's the Sahara.
government. It's basically a Thunderdome.
Yep. Then they give us NERV, and that's it. So I would say, all in all, actually, probably a very good system for you to play. I don't know if you want to play long term. I mean, maybe it would work long term, but there's a lot you could get out of this system.
It's not a bad addendum. I would say it's pretty solid. I think it relying on having the core Dark Heresy book is a bit of a downgrade. But if you kind of just treat it as the equivalent of a splat for Dark Heresy, because there are splats that like a lot of splats you have to have the core book anyway. It's not the end of the world, so I'm gonna rate this a solid decent. I think it would be a pretty fun game.
Yeah, I would say decent as well. I mean, it's dark. The base is Dark Heresy, and I actually think about it, the mechanics revolving around the ego and your relation,
Your
what was it,
sanity.
your sanity. I think it works perfectly to replicate what was in the show.
What would you rate this, Biggs?
I mean, it's Evangelion. I will say, I was like a big fan of mecha, but not necessarily Ava. Things is too. It's like I hate angst a lot, you know,
What?
and I hate angst. And Ava does have a little bit of angst, but I do love my giant robots.
Wait. So
Play
you
this
don't
in
like
order.
angst, but you watch Gundam, which has a lot of it.
He doesn't.
Well,
I,
they all
the,
blow up in the end, though. All right.
they
Look,
blow up, and I would say the kids don't act like whiny bitches.
I was about to say there wasn't a plot point where they all blow up in the smoke, but then that was literally the ending the Shards power attack.
It is.
You don't have to play this in order to really feel like it, but I can't say it, so I guess I'll give it. Hey, check it out.
So if you're curious and you want to get a copy of Adeptus Evangelion, they have like a
I heard
Discord
it.
project that allows you to get your hands on the 4th edition. There's
which is
allegedly
its
a
own
third
rule set.
edition, which is the equivalent
A
of
nightmare.
Prolapse Incarnate, apparently.
It's a failed Ava project.
And then there's 2.5, which is what we covered. You can find that by just typing in Adeptus Evangelion, and it'll just be on an archive site. I actually gave a link to it in the description. And hey, if you feel like it, you can also join our Discord if you haven't already. We talk about a bunch of random crap all the time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. And
I'll call you a slur when you get into our Discord.
He will.
and then I'm wondering, perhaps in honor of, well, the loss of South America in Evangelion's timeline, we look at a Brazilian RPG
I don't speak Portuguese, so this would be very interesting. And by
that
interesting,
has
I
been
mean
translated
weirdo.
into English.
Oh, are we covering their weird Dungeons and Dragons equivalent, like the really
You know,
weird one they
perhaps
have?
I know we have a lot of good Brazilian fans, so I'll be trying to look for stuff. I know there's new RPGs that are coming from them, or from Brazilian community, that we could look at. But if we're able to find an English translation of a classic, uh, point us in that direction.
So next time, if possible, we're going to be forcibly relocated to Brazil. Help! Help!
Don't worry, it'll be all right.
Yeah, no, I do have an RPG here.
Well, I guess we're doing it, so see you guys.